Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this event that we have today to focus on really interesting and new kind of technologies that are happening all around the world. And we are here today, it's a wide group of people, ranging all the way from tourism to defense to people that are dealing with factories and ports. And the idea is that we will exchange ideas, learnings from all over the world, and that we will have a very fruitful discussion and come up with some interesting results and next steps. I'm Marios Nicolaou. I'm from PNET, which is the co-organizer of this event. And I'd like to welcome to the stage my other co-organizer, Yannis Yarnarakis from digiGOV.
Thank you, Marios. Thank you, Marios. Thank you all. Thank you, PNET, for this wonderful synergy that led to this event. I will switch to Greek for the introduction and then to English, back to English. Θα θέλαμε να σας ευχαριστήσουμε για τη συμμετοχή σας σε αυτή την εκδήλωση, που είναι μια προσπάθεια να αναδείξουμε τις δυνατότητες, τις περιοχές παρέμβασης, τις προκλήσεις που δημιουργούνται από μια νέα τεχνολογία, τα δίκτυα νέας γενιάς, συνοπτικά το αναφέρουμε 5G, αλλά είναι πολύ ευρύτερο, και πώς αυτά μπορούν να αξιοποιηθούν στο δημόσιο χώρο και ευρύτερα στο χώρο του δημοσίου συμφέροντος. Είπε ο Μάριος πριν, ένα τεράστιο πεδίο εφαρμογών από τα λιμάνια, τις έξυπνες πόλεις, την πολιτική προστασία, την παιδεία, τον πολιτισμό και πολλές άλλες περιοχές βιομηχανικής εφαρμογής, οι οποίες τις βλέπουμε μπροστά μας και ελπίζουμε να έχουμε τη δυνατότητα σήμερα να δεχθούμε τα καλά παραδείγματα από τους διακεκριμένους ομιλητές που έχουμε κοντά μας. Στόχος μας θα είναι να βγει από αυτή την προσπάθεια, από αυτή την ημερίδα, να βγουν και ιδιαίτερα μέσα από τις απογευματινές συνεδρίες, να βγουν νέες προκλήσεις οι οποίες θα αποτελέσουν και αντικείμενο επίδρασης του κόμβου ψηφιακής καινοτομίας, του digiGOV-innoHUB, σε συνεργασία με το PNET και άλλους φορείς, ώστε να δοθούν λύσεις σε αυτά τα θέματα, αξιοποιώντας τις σύγχρονες τεχνολογίες και το δυναμικό των φορέων οι οποίοι αποτελούν αυτούς τους δύο σημαντικούς φορείς, τον κόμβο ψηφιακής καινοτομίας και το Competence Center, το PNET. Πολλοί από εσάς είχατε συμμετάσχει και σε προηγούμενες εκδηλώσεις που είχαμε διοργανώσει για την τεχνητή νοημοσύνη, για το blockchain, στις οποίες αναδείξαμε τέτοιες πλευρές και θα δούμε και το πρώτο δείγμα από το τι γέννησαν αυτές οι εκδηλώσεις σε λίγο. Θα ήθελα όμως να σημειώσω ότι μπαίνουμε σε μια αγώνιμη περίοδο για την ελληνική κοινωνία, για το ελληνικό οικοσύστημα της καινοτομίας, όπου κινητοποιούνται οι φορείς αυτοί που ονομάζουμε καμιά φορά της τριπλής ή τετραπλής έλικας, που είναι οι επιχειρήσεις, ο δημόσιος τομέας, η αυτοδιοίκηση και κυρίως το ερευνητικό και ακαδημαϊκό δυναμικό που η χώρα μας σε αυτό διακρίνεται ιδιαίτερα, και μια κοινωνία των πολιτών η οποία με διάφορους τρόπους κάνει πιο έντονα την εμφάνισή της στο επόμενο διάστημα. Θα γυρίσω στα αγγλικά κατά το προγραμματισμό της εκδήλωσης για να σας παρουσιάσουμε τον κόμβο ψηφιακής καινοτομίας για τις υπηρεσίες δημοσίου ενδιαφέροντος, το digiGOV-innoHUB. Thank you very much, all guests. We would like today to present you the Greek Innovation Hub for the digital transformation of public services, digiGOV-innoHUB, which is an aggregation of 16 partners led by GRNet, the National Infrastructures for Research and Technology in Greece, together with the regulatory National Telecommunication Committee for and Post Commission, which is the regulatory authority in Greece for ICT, especially the new generation of communication networks. The Information Society, which is the executive arm of the Greek state for innovation procurement, with a special role in our hub. The National Center for education in administration and regional administration, and the main research centers, Athena, ICCS, EPCE in Greek, and the major academic institutions and research labs that specialize and focus on public services, Gov Tech, and the related advanced technologies. Together with them is the innovation network of GFOS, the Open Technologies Organization in Greece, and EPI, which is the Union of ICT Scientists. We have also a very important assortment of strategic partners from the region of Attica, the region of Crete, the region and other regions, especially island, of the island part of Greece, and also the major innovation associations, SEKE, SEPE, EDTs, and the others that you see. And more associations and institutions are becoming part of our ecosystem every month, and we are very, very happy and honored by their presence and facilitation of events. Our mission, as a part of the European Digital Innovation Hub networks, is to advance and to foster digital transformation in the public sector in Greece, fostering synergistic innovation and openness. Openness in all means, in technology, in procedures, in the mindset. And our objectives are firstly to support the development of a new generation of services, utilizing advanced digital technologies, AI, blockchain, 5G, and mobile internet in general, and based on open standards, open source solutions, focusing on the needs of citizens and businesses. In order to do this, we have to enrich the ecosystem of actors, the innovation ecosystem of digital transformation actors, and advance their skills and create and pursue synergies between them, and strengthen the communities of practice that emerge in those fields. Those are prerequisites also for fostering innovation in the public administration in general, to change the mindset of the public administration and help support the innovative public servants to express their ideas, their feelings, and their knowledge into practical solutions and projects. And also, we have another important mission or objective, which in 2023 might sound as a small joke, if I say it, for the Greek public sector, to transform the Greek public sector from a dump buyer of digital services into an innovation buyer and investor. This, of course, is not our mission only. It's a prerequisite from the European Union for supporting public innovation procurement methods and pre-commercial procurement methods in all public administrations all around the continent. Because, as you all know, the public sector in every country of Europe, almost in every country of the world, is the major client, the number one client of the digital services and infrastructures industry. So transforming this big buyer into an investor, it will not only help utilize in better ways the money and the funds from the public, but also enrich the innovation ecosystems, which will find a big supporter and not just a client. Of course, in order to do this, we need more and more transfer of knowledge, exchange of good practices and bad practices, of successes and failures, via the communication with other parties, with other innovation hubs all around Europe, and not only in Europe, but also all around the world. And I take this occasion to thank our distinguished guests that will address later in this event from World Bank, from the Gov Tech initiative of World Bank, where we participate and we have together formulated a how-to note for the application of mobile technologies into public services all around the world. This is a very important step forward because it aggregates experience and knowledge from all innovators all around the world. Of course, I would not stop to say that number one priority is openness in all aspects, in governance, digital transformation, and in use of technologies, methods, and protocols. This year was the starting year of our hub. We started early, from the beginning, typically from the beginning of January. As sometimes happens, we had some delays in the first months, but now we expand our initiatives, and currently we have an ongoing boot camp, which you can find more information on our site, a very important initiative for aggregating the ecosystem of innovators from the public sector, from the private sector, SMEs, and startups. The second is the AI for Public Service, an initiative for accelerating the utilization of artificial intelligence in the public sector. Number one priority in Europe, number one priority in Greece. As you all know, last week it was announced a special committee, a special task force at the highest level at the Prime Minister's office for this sense. We already had our plans, and it is the number one objective for our hub. So it's a very important priority and initiative. Also, having witnessed the problems of the natural disasters in the past months, all Greek innovation hubs, the 7 Greek innovation hubs, we took a common initiative for a national plan for innovation, supporting a master plan for the resilience and innovative solutions or innovative approach to the issues that come from climate change and the natural disasters, which is something all around Europe is now a very important priority, and it's an emergency action, for which we have today a special roundtable. And 2 weeks ago, we had a special workshop at Dimokritos, who leads the Smart Attica Innovation Hub. Together, the 7 hubs, we worked on this workshop in order to address and to point out and to focus on the issues that came from the disasters of the previous months. Also, starting the 3rd of November, we are honored to announce that we will support as a hub and all the Greek innovation hubs the National Plan for Innovation in the Public Sector, which is a new plan with a new law that was voted in March 2023, and this would lead to innovation solutions for the public sector. More announcements to come on the 3rd of November. And today, we have this wonderful 5G and Gov Tech workshop, for which we welcome you and we thank you for being with us. Also, we take this opportunity to announce the first call for innovative solutions to public sector challenges, which was the outcome of the previous workshop on artificial intelligence, where we focused on needs of the public sector that could be addressed by the use of artificial intelligence and other technologies. And this, the Gov Tech Challenge for 2023 from our hub, it puts 4+1 challenge to SMEs, to innovative SMEs. The first is for multilingual access to GovGR and the other websites and services of the public sector, a very important need as Greece has many tourists, many citizens that speak other languages and not only English. The second is to create digital assistants for the citizens in the various services, chatbots and other digital assistants, not only chatbots. Also, to foster the use and utilization of artificial intelligence in justice, which is a very, very important area of problems and opportunities in Greece if we solve the problems. And also to foster and to facilitate and to make easier the digital access for people with disabilities. The extra one that challenge that arose from the natural disaster from the first months is addressing the problems and the effects of recent disasters, which, as I said before, it's an emergency special action. The deadline for this call is the 30th of November, and more information you can find in the Digital Innovation Hub's website. Working on this, I would like to point out that we see now ecosystems growing around the public sector. It's the ecosystem of innovators from the private sector, the public servants, and the civil society. But also, it's an innovation of public servants that work together with us, and we will work more closely in the Mythos project, the GovGR website, which already are platforms for innovation. And we see them as an opportunity not only to digitize the existing services, but also to simplify the existing services for the better digitalization and sometimes even to delete some services by digitizing better some others that could complement them. So, under this ecosystem view, we work as an accelerator, and this is the way this challenge will work in the next months, hoping that at the end we will have pilots, successful projects that go up to TRL 7-8 to be implemented in the public sector. All the participants, the participating SMEs and other parties, will receive for free. They are not free services, but they will receive them, the high-cost services, but they will receive them for free, the services of our hub. And more information, of course, again in our website. We'd like to thank you and thank Marios and Dimitra and Rula and all, and Dido and all the other colleagues that participated in this. And Marios, please take the lead. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, the next presentation, please. Is it going online? How do I project this? Is it on? So let's proceed very quickly with my own presentation to present to you PNET, what we do. I will be very brief and try to encompass also the structure of the workshop of the day. PNET is a competence center. We were formulated in order and with the main mission of essentially promoting and working for the 5G and 6G networks and services in Greece. We are essentially co-financed by the government of Greece and the European Union. We are a partnership, and we have our partners, which are also our shareholders, and as you can see here, they're all across the chain. ranging from, basic academia and research centers all the way to the integrators, verticals, and then other services on top. And many of you are here today, so we also welcome you and are thankful for your participation. Our mandate is simple, and it's essentially to help and empower the Greek economy and enable the technology innovations in the areas where we specialize. Let's go to today's event, which is actually one of our main objectives of the year. Very briefly, I wanted to welcome our guests that came here from abroad, so that the idea was that not only do we Greeks bring our own knowledge, but we also bring people here. We invited distinguished experts who have real experience from what we're showing in the sectors from abroad. Mr. Fotis Karonis, he came to us, I think, from the UK or Paris from the UK. Yeah, and Fotis was one of the mentors I had, and he already has done a lot, probably all across the area of 5G, all over Europe, if not the world. With Slawomir, the CEO of IS Wireless from Poland, he came. We were last week in Riga together. Very hands-on person doing so much, actual 5G private networks and actual digitalization implementations all over Europe. And Mr. Dimitris Lalos, he came to us all the way from the United States. He's the CEO of Marquee Wireless. He's specializing in smart cities. You will be impressed with the things that all three of them will show you. And the idea is to be pragmatic and to not do things that we know failed, but to focus on things that we know are working. Very quickly, what we've been doing for a whole year now is essentially to look abroad, all the use cases, what's been going on around the world in this area of digitalization, and then to select what we think is best for Greece. What could create new jobs for Greece? What could create new revenue, new visitors, new tourists, and new experiences for the country, and then, of course, add more value. We did quite an extensive global analysis, if you will, based on so much work that's being done. If you see the 5G Observatory in the from the European Union, hundreds and hundreds of trials and things being tested. So we selected with a team of our experts the 4 domains that we have today. The first one is the VR, XR, augmented reality, and the metaverse. Very few countries have the cultural history and heritage and legacy of Greece. This year, we were blessed to have so many visitors, Greece becoming one of the most prominent touristic destinations. And, if you think about it, Hollywood took our legacy and our history and made billions of dollars movies based on that. We could do the same, make it 3D and put it on the spot and on location, and imagine how much value that could add to the economy of the country, but to new archaeologists and to new designers and to new people, young people that can create all these new experiences. And I can assure you, we've been in global events recently. We have all the technical know-how here, and in some cases we have leading technology here in Greece to take a lead in this domain. And then when we learn, we can go around our region and export our know-how and our technology that we would develop. Very quickly, you will hear from today, Moptil is here, a very successful company that is doing probably some of the most fascinating work. You probably saw it in the airport if you flew in with the Parthenon and the Kronos application that is already very impressive. Later, you can meet the Panos Parthenios and the Greek National Opera that they're already doing rehearsals for opera using VR technologies, and so much more things we could be doing. The next one is our sea. It's even on our flag. There's no more country with a bigger coastline and more important route. I mean, if you think about the Suez Canal, ships coming from Asia, this is the main corridor on Earth. And right now, the world is suffering from the supply chains. Nothing stops us from becoming a leader in automation of maritime technologies. We are the #1 register of flags for shipping in the world. This is so much know-how that we have for decades about this topic, and it's a very important domain that we want to focus on. Industry and construction, of course, we're not a very big industrial country, but combined with the ports and the digital corridors, we can become an area of innovation in these domains as well. We can put it all together and create digital supply chains all the way from the sea to the roads to the production facilities, but also we can become the route of the world towards Northern Europe with essentially faster and more digitalized corridors. Smart cities and smart islands could be an area of focus. We have a specialized table today. We got many nomads that are coming here and even living here in Greece. What a more beautiful place to move in the world. And there are so many people that are now in the islands that could be helped and assisted by new applications like remote health, the whole education, smart hotels, digital twins of cities and islands as we go along. Last but not least, the public protection, what we call PPDR, which stands for Public Protection, Disaster and Relief. This is a huge initiative, global initiative. There are networks and examples that are happening right now. I'll give you, for example, in the US, AT&T is making FirstNet. In South Korea, in Finland, in England, in France, and we have with us today here experts that are really have worked on these things and can help us to really make the new strategy for the future for Greece. No country needs a robust telecommunication network for first responders more than ours over here. This is what I wanted to share with you. The whole event is structured this way, and I wish you all a great and remaining of the workshop that we have today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Marios. Thank you, Marios, for setting the objectives and the main points for this workshop and the work tables in the afternoon. Next in the session, we would like to welcome, and we are honored by the presence of Professor Dimitris Varoutas, who is the Vice President of EET, the National Regulatory Committee for Telecommunication in Greece, a very important institution that not only regulates the market, but also has a development view for the implementation of the next phase of new generation networks and all the infrastructure and service aspects. Mr. Varoutas, except from his formal presence here, is a very active partner in our hub, Innovation Hub, personally, and of course through EET, which is a prominent partner in our hub. His presence today is more than welcomed and makes us honored. Mr. Varoutas, Professor.
Kalimera. Thank you so much for the invitation, dear organizers, ladies and gentlemen. I also extend my greetings to you all. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to address this workshop under the capacity as a Vice President of EDT, which, as you already hear, is a member this hub, and our policy is to support similar activities, especially in our country. So our focus today, I don't have a presentation, so I will say a few words about our focus today, which is around the exciting theme of 5G generation network and their development in the context of government technology, government application, etc. So this event is an excellent platform from my perspective and from EDT perspective for the exchange of opinions, ideas, proposals, discussions regarding the significance of 5G networks in the economy, in the business landscape, and the daily lives of everyone, of us, of our citizens. So, a few words about the 5G era, which we have already is in Greece. We find ourselves in a remarkable junction, from my perspective, where 5G networks have transitioned from theoretical concepts, and let's say academic ones, to practical realities and practical results. And this transformation was made possible through successful spectrum auctions and the commitment of mobile operators to start operate 5G networks and to enhance mainly connectivity quality as a first step towards the 5G full usage. So as we enter now a phase of, let's say, a maturity in 5G development, it is imperative to explore their expansion, the transformative impact of 5G on the market, the emergence of applications tailored to these networks, and of course the reinforcement of ecosystems surrounding 5G networks. So the deployment and operation of 5G networks pose several challenges that require the attention of the regulatory bodies, policymakers, governments, and of course the communication and ICT industry in general. So in the spirit of fostering productive public dialogue, I would like to say a few comments on these challenges and to support also the discussion for the next of the day, especially in the afternoon during the roundtables. The first one is the effective spectrum management, which, as I said, we have already allocated the frequencies, the spectrum for this, but effective spectrum management is pivotal for ensuring the efficient operator and utilization of the networks. I'm saying this because it seems to be a growing demand in our country for the potential use of these networks in the development of private or vertically integrated networks. We have already a presentation from Mr. Nicolaou about these topics. So given the full realization of the innovative capabilities of 5G networks, it's my opinion, but it seems to be now widely accepted that the full realization of the 5G innovative capabilities depends on the development of private and vertically integrated networks. So we should further explore topics which are related with this, such as the development costs of 5G private and vertical networks, their prospects, and of course, this could be combined with a potentially new spectrum allocation schemes in a topic that I can now announce that we are going to have, EDT was going to have some initiative in the near future. Another interesting topic is the security and privacy considerations, as well as the involvement of specific manufacturers of 5G network deployment. Remains highly prominent at both the European and national level. These aspects constitute critical components of this network. So in the future, we're going to have some discussion about this issue as well. We are deeply concerned about the network expansion of the network, which is not solely dependent about the licensing of antennas, an area where I believe we have made significant progress. But it also involves addressing challenges faced by service providers, including public reactions about the antennas, municipal authorities, as well as other pressure groups. So there are some strict restrictions and obstacles that should be openly discussed and, if necessary, revised in the near future. Users. What about the users? Enhancing user awareness of 5G and its potential while ensuring uniform and high-quality access is of paramount importance, particularly in remote and rural areas, as well as how we can safeguard the consumer interest regarding pricing of the services, service quality, and of course, this issue remain at top priorities for EDT and should be also addressed in the near future. Additionally, I would like to say that the swift resolution of disputes and the systematic examination of competition issues arising from market concentration, shared infrastructures, schemes, and the general oligopolistic nature of mobile networks pose ongoing challenges for all regulatory authorities, especially EDT, which also acts as a competition authority to relevant markets. There is a big discussion in Europe nowadays, going to be also in the future, about what happened with the Digital Service Act. Probably EDT is going to be the coordinator at the national level. So in the near future, we're going to have some more discussions about how we'll deal with digital services in general. Lastly, but not least, as most people say, we must not overlook the importance of sustainable network development and the environmental impact. These subjects warrant further study and should be consistently included in the public discourse and policy making. In conclusion, I express my hope that the technological and business advancement associated with the 5G networks will persist as strategic pillars driving a holistic transformation of our nation's productivity. May they remain a focal point for constructive public dialogue, much like the discussion we're going to have during this workshop. With this, let's say, optimistic outlook, I extend my congratulations to the organizer and the esteemed speakers, and I wish you a success to this workshop. Thank you. Ευχαριστώ.
Thank you very much, dear Vice President, for these optimistic remarks and this very positive view for the future. We're looking forward in cooperating with the ED for making reality what is the vision. I would like also today to bring the greetings and support of the General Secretary of Insular Policy, Mr. Manos Koutoulakis, who was to be together with us this morning and will be in the afternoon in the workshops. Some urgent matters in the ministry kept him away from us, but he will come in the afternoon session in the work tables, the work table for the islands. And we have their support and commitment for the future. We are in a wonderful place today, which is the Hellenic world, a most important initiative, a private initiative in Greece. And we have together with us Mr. Dimitris Efremolu, the Managing Director of Hellenic World, a man that is not behind the shadows, but is behind all these wonderful things that we have here in this wonderful place with all the high-tech expression of the past, which is a view for the future. And our civilization, we know, is not an asset from the past, is a very important asset for the future, for the development of new services, for the cultivation of relations, for tourism, for culture, for education. And it was a wonderful day today when coming to this establishment, we saw schools outside waiting to come and to see the marvels of the old civilization via the eyes of new technology. Mr. Efremolu, we had also the opportunity, I would say, that to meet at Mobile World Congress, which is the largest international congress and exhibition for future technologies. Mr. Efremolu and Sofia Efremolu were there, and I think our visions for the future are very optimistic. Mr. Efremolu, welcome. Thank you for hosting us, and please take the lead. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind words. Good morning. It's good to have you all here, and I would like to welcome you to Hellenic Cosmos, the cultural center of the foundation of the Hellenic world. Hellenic Cosmos is a state-of-the-art interactive museum in Athens, where culture and new technologies come together. But as you very correctly said, let's see our past in order to build our future. So at the foundation, we are really proud to celebrate 30 years of experience in the field of new technologies and of course the creation of our new versatile research for research, development and excellence in virtual and augmented reality. From our first website in 1995, the Olympic Games, to our first fully CGI docudrama in 1997, Miletos, a City in 4 Dimensions, which won the first prize in the Amiens Festival of Films, we strive to utilize the newest technology long before it became mainstream. We continue on this path with our large virtual reality installations like the Immersive Desk and the Cave in 1999, to the Tholos, the Dome, in 2005, the emblematic large format dome display virtual reality theater of Hellenic Cosmos, the only one in Greece and one of the few in Europe that uses interactive navigation and real-time imagery. It has always been our desire to bring the most advanced interactive storytelling technologies to as many people as possible, and thus we are trying to use the existing state-of-the-art VR, AR and XR technology for presenting cultural heritage and make it more accessible to all. Our latest effort in creating a multisensory XR experience for culture and education is Bridges, an augmented reality platform where visitors use the state-of-the-art equipment to experience moments from daily life of the family in the 5th century BC Athens. Bridges was a 2-year horizon-based EU project that was reviewed successfully this summer with a large variety of EU partners, both from academia and industry. The target of this project was pretty ambitious. Our mission was to create a low-cost, multi-user XR hardware and software platform that lowers the threshold for adopting a location-based XR experience. 2 pilots were created for this evaluation. The first, in the context of informal learning, is hosted here at Hellenic Cosmos. For our storytelling purposes, we created a guided XR experience for multiple users that allowed them to visit an ancient Athenian house. We transformed the physical room that you see on the left to an ancient Athenian house that you can see on the right. We developed the historically accurate representation of an Athenian house, rooms and everyday use object as close depiction to how people lived in that period. In order to transform the aforementioned space into a virtual Athenian house, we must have a one-to-one relationship between the virtual and the real world. To prepare the room for the experience, a pipeline was followed. The roof of the room was equipped with markers. The room was scanned with an automated robot using photogrammetry, and the exact 3D representation of that room was created. The markers were used both to construct the 3D model and to allow for user tracking. We used head-mounted displays and backpack PCs for the user for local rendering and to achieve minimal latency, a huge problem in virtual reality. Multiple players are supported and they can be actually walk in the same physical space. The platform supports object tracking and interaction with physical objects like to hold a vase, and also we use haptics at because the walls and the furniture exist in virtual and the actual space. The markers also assist for that. The experience targets multiple senses. Since you are as you enter the kitchen or go out the balcony, we simulate smell and wind. It's a middle to low-cost solution with no external hardware such as beacons, infrared cameras, or lighthouses are needed. It's extremely scalable for spaces and for any size and any configuration. It's always easier to explain the experience with optical stimuli, so we have prepared a small video for you to see that you can was used and it was created during our evaluation tests. So let's see the video. So here you see the visitors being suited up. They wear the backpack PC on their backs and the head-mounted displays that uses, as I said, tracking, ceiling tracking for the markers and hand tracking for to convey to the computer where your hands are. On the left you see what the operator sees, and of course on the right you see what actually happens. The view on the left is not what the visitors see. The visitors see a perfect rendering from their own perspective. This is just a low poly rendering for the operator. And we have virtual objects that are not real, but we also have real objects that are also virtual. So in some part of the experience, a user will take a cantharos, an ancient pot, and move it around, and he will also see that cantharos in virtual reality. So it's a dual, it has a dual existence, let's say. So the opening to the public and the exploitation is being scheduled currently, but after all this good feedback we got, we are pretty excited that we'll be able to offer this unique experience. The project has proven even more demanding, has proven how more demanding an XR setup can be, and to be used in culture, combining entertainment and learning. Our next step is 5G connectivity. Artificial intelligence and Internet of Things devices for a more sophisticated XR level of developing such experiences. Experience that will be hardware free and not location based. One idea that we had for the 5G network was that we can have in our dome a virtual reality tour of an actual space. And in that actual space, in the real world, we could have a guide that would see what our dome visitors are seeing, and he would be able to communicate with them and tell them and show them in the real world how the place is today, so they can switch back and forth between the live video of the architectural space and the virtual reconstruction of the place as they would see it now, as you saw the ancient Athenian house or ancient Olympia that we have created, or the Parthenon, the Agora of Athens, and many other places that we have virtually reconstructed. The future for the cultural industry will be providing cultural and educational experience in extended reality in many ways, and I think this is something that the technology and the things that you're discussing today are going to have a great impact. Thank you very much, and I invite you to see our virtual reality exhibitions in the Dome, Tholos as we call it, to get a better understanding of all that I discussed, and to enjoy the potential that technology has to offer, and dream about future technology and future applications. Thank you very much, and good luck and good for your proceedings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Efremoglu. I can ensure you that when I saw this presentation myself, we did the experience with my colleague Dido. It was so captivating and fantastic, and for the first time I realized that this is a service already that I would pay for. So imagine if we could, with 5G technology, remove all the technological complexities and then scale this all over Greece. Next, we have with us Mr. Fodis Karonis from Capgemini. Please, Fodis, come. And he will give us some real things that are happening all across Europe on the domains that we're talking about now. Welcome to the stage.
Καλή σας μέρα, αγαπητοί φίλοι, φίλες. Ιδιαίτερη τιμή για μένα να είμαι εδώ στην Ελλάδα και να μιλήσω μαζί σας για εμπειρίες πάνω σε εφαρμογές του 5G. Όχι απλά τα δίκτυα, αλλά τι μπορούμε να κάνουμε με όλα αυτά τα δίκτυα. I have to switch into English, right? Anyway, so this is inspired by the work that I just saw by Mr. Efremoglu. I didn't know he was speaking before me, but this is where we live, right? The cradle of civilization here in Athens. And it's a huge honor for me to be here. I represent the Capgemini Group. It's a large-scale international system integration, but a digital transformation partner. My job is to support the strategy, actually. I own the strategy of connectivity, 5G, across the group. And yeah, so it keeps me very busy. By the way, how are the energy levels today? You're okay? Yeah? I didn't hear too much, huh? Yay, cool. Right, so let me just move the dial. Basically, intelligent industry, how we evolve, to make the industries intelligent. And this is the goal of us as business transformation partners or technology experts, right? To provide outcomes for the industries. And today, with all these technology, Yanis, you mentioned before, around 5G, around IoT, cloud, cybersecurity, there is a vast array of technologies today, including, of course, AI and generative AI very recently as well, that we absolutely bring much more transformation, a lot of innovation, creativity to help the people that are on the ground doing all the work, but also bringing efficiencies in the process. And then I'll speak a little bit about some global experiences that I had. Very quickly, I won't bore you. I mean, I belong to the Capgemini Group. Some very interesting news is that Capgemini just acquired a company in Greece, which is very, very great. It's more in semiconductor design in Thessaloniki. HDL is software design. And so we're part of a huge group, right? 22 billion, 2022. We are involved in 50 countries with over 350,000 people. Yeah, very, very big with probably a very big amount of people, around 150, 170,000 in India, So, and then, of course, the priority sectors are manufacturing, which is, I think, a very hot topic for transformation. Financial services, public sector is very important, and I have experiences to share around the public safety area. And of course, consumer products and services, etc. Right? We believe that in order to transform industries and public sector companies, you need to encapsulate all the technologies coming from digital and cloud, data AI, generative AI, engineering, software engineering. And I think Greece has a lot of capabilities around software engineering, which, if you look at the areas around it, it's around communication, around electronics, around what is in the chip, what is real time, what is in the automotive, etc. So the transformation of software is huge. And I'm super excited about the life sciences as well as the automotive industry. We're seeing a lot of software products now, cars becoming really a software platform rather than just a box, so connected mobility, etc. And business and transformation is the job of what we do rather than just an IT systems integrator. We are living in this transformative world where we're seeing seamless connectivity. So it is completely seamless. We're using many technologies, not only 5G, of course, Wi-Fi and others. Immersive experiences. We just heard about incredible applications for tourism, learning, etc. But also for, remote assistance, remote diagnostics, right? So this is a very huge market that is also supported by the large tech companies, right? Like Meta, Google, etc., right? Facebook, and the opportunities to be immersed in these new experiences, right? And provide services. The other one is around automation. So we're moving from pure automation, which we had in the last, 50 years, I would say, increasingly to autonomy, where decisions can be taken by the machines themselves according to the information they have. And that will bring a lot of benefits for, more quality products and quicker time to market. And last but not least is the invisibility of the computing, right? Computing is everywhere. It's from our smartphone to the car, to the cloud, to the edge, right? And it's got to do with cybersecurity, which is very important. And of course now, with Gen AI, we're seeing the amount of computing power that is required to run models like AI, large language models, etc. We're seeing those semiconductor companies like NVIDIA, Qualcomm, Intel, the size of these companies are growing tremendously, right? Because everything is connected and the edge is actually everywhere. Just moving on. So we see these three worlds coming together. I think this is not new. We just had the discussion with XR/MR, but we're seeing the physical world coming into contact with the digital world and, of course, with the human world, right? And all these three things are interacting with connectivity and a lot of it with AI, machine learning, generative AI coming together. And for a better world, for a more sustainable world. On terms of skills, I think we should see, as this conference is very much around 5G and edge and connectivity, how the skills of information technology, operational technology on the core of the companies where things happen, on the shop floor, but also networks, right? So we need to think about these things are a skill evolution, that in order to have the real advantages of 5G applications and connectivity, you need to apply and bring together these three worlds, right? So if you're doing sort of like it's a big factory with a lot of supply chain and back office with SAP or other systems, these have to be connected with data that are on the shop floor via, high-speed communication networks. We talked about ports, that Greece is the largest maritime company in the world, right? And our ports are really increasing in capacity. There's so many applications that we can think about. I've personally been involved in led the project in the UK with Belfast Harbour, which is a smaller regional airport, but had to do with being, very modern, and they wanted to increase their capabilities there. First of all, on the environmental issue, with drones, you can actually survey the area for pollution, avoiding pollutions. You have, autonomous smart surveillance that you can have, video surveillance across. So these are private network type applications that you could add on. There's a panorama, of use cases that you can add, thinking about, remote control for cranes, to right up to the logistic parks, So there's a wide variety for ports. And I'm just thinking of how many Greek ports we do have that are, hubs, actually, as we say, connecting the south to the north. Very close is logistics, right? Logistic parks. And I think if you need to really automate a port, it's good that you think about what is behind in the logistics and then the transportation. So we see, of course, 5G and edge private networks here, or a combination of a campus with a public network, but then applications around, AGVs, autonomous guided vehicles, robotics, surveillance cameras, drones, AR, VR applications, all these things that we know that can be applied horizontally across ports, airports, and logistic parks. I'll just talk very briefly about a few things that I was recently involved. This is for industries. This is a very huge factories that are equipped with big cranes, right? So we can think about ports as well, but also metal companies that produce, aluminium and stuff like that. And private networks with 5G that provides, really great features that enable very hostile environments of many, many systems in place to replace a lot of connectivity protocols like Wi-Fi or fixed legacy protocols or even fixed wireless fiber communication. So you can use 5G to replace and to homogenize your infrastructure on the connectivity side and enable remote control, visual inspection, video surveillance. All that we've done a very successful one, and it's also related to an Open RAN application on 5G private networks using a different radio provider to the core. So these are really solid examples of what can happen in Greece too, right? This is not rocket science, but it's just to take these leaps and to, think about what you want to do in order to automate, huge factories or even smaller operations or even ports. We talked about ports. These are projects that I'm involved in the Southeast Asia. Again, it's a collaboration. Some countries, you need to collaborate with telcos, right? And I think Greece also, it's a very strong opportunity to collaborate as telco partners for the spectrum, but also for, the digital environment, right? The connectivity. And these are things we're doing in the Southeast Asia with one of the telco partners and a couple of, technology vendors. Again, for logistics and port automation. I was a week ago in France. This is a project that is funded very strongly by the French government. It's called 5G Open Road. It is a combination of transport and logistics and smart cities, right? And that is the reality. The project is called 5G Open Road, and the purpose is to see what are the business models that can come out of it. What is the investment opportunity here? It has a variety of ecosystem participants like, Renault Group, Stellantis, from the car manufacturers, huge players, right? Of course, Capgemini is a system integrator. It has, different technology vendors, and also those Mila, for example, that is here somewhere. It's an autonomous bus, right? That you could actually navigate and deliver goods. But also smaller robotic type cars that you can even use the pavement if you like to dispatch an object in the last 100 or 200 meters. We did these very good demonstrations last week in Saclay, which is in south of Paris, and it was an amazing combination of a private network as well as the public network from Bouygues. And it enables us to do also CV2X applications, the car, to notice if there's an obstacle, using LiDAR technology. And then because of the coverage of the 5G, you have information about, people that are crossing the streets with the video cameras. There's AI. There's a raft of technologies that showed what is the possibility of the future, right? In very dense areas to avoid traffic congestions, but also deliver goods, a bit like, Amazon type little robots, that deliver stuff. Or avoiding, problems for people that are not having some vulnerabilities and cannot see very well. So a lot of use cases. I can have so smart intersection with huge companies like Stellantis, Renault, etc. We validated a few use cases. Autonomous urban logistics for delivery of goods. Bigger cars, bigger buses for movement on the public street. Of course, this is very initial. It also put pressures on the regulation, on the technology, on what is really capable of happening. Of course, this takes years, right, before the whole thing becomes completely, the reality. But we're getting there. And then last but not least, around, very, very sharp information about geolocation, etc., for protecting people. I have a video, but I won't show it at the moment if I have time, maybe. I want to stay on public safety, right? This is a huge, huge opportunity in a life that we're living full of, increasing crises, not only from the frequency, but from the amplified form of it, right? So we have, of course, floods. We saw them, of course, in Greece, right? In Thessaly. We're still facing this huge problem, but there were huge floods also in Germany, in the Benelux areas last years, right? Fires, etc. Well, these crises require operations and coordination between multiple stakeholders, right? And Today, this is very hard to achieve, and there's been a consensus, I would say, across European countries, American countries, everywhere, to use as much as possible now the new networks that we have, right? And the bigger the coverage, the better you can think about using LTE, as well as 5G for using for public safety systems. This is a case of France. This is a live project. It's got about up to 400,000 users. It's going to be starting to be piloted before the Olympics in Paris in just June, July next year. We are in the very deep development phase at the moment. It's a combination of Airbus, defense prime contractor with Capgemini as a system integrator. Also, this person here from Ericsson. Ericsson is also involved in the core system. But I think we have a session about that. But these are very, very big projects that are urgently required in Europe. And there is a raft of projects in parallel as we speak, apart from FirstNet, which was mentioned by Yanis earlier, and you, Maria. In the US, and we have in the UK with Emergency Service Network, Réseau Radio du Futur in France, Astrid Belgium, Nova in Holland, MSB in Sweden, there's Norway at the moment, and probably BD-Boss, which is the biggest in Germany, that will probably start in about a couple of years. These are decisions that are going to be based on 3GPP standards, LTE networks, and 5G for use cases. And it's very, very complex projects that require business transformation and technology transformation. And I think that's it. I don't know if I have time to show the video, but should we go for it? Okay, where is it? I need to click it. Okay. Normally the sound, but okay. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Thanks very much.
Excellent. We thank very much for his kindness to come and also to show us that things can be a reality. We can be hands-on and do real things here in Greece. And I think he will also be happy to help us in the directions that we want to follow. Let's stay in the international examples, and I'd like to welcome my good friend Slawomir Pietrix from IS Wireless. He's the CEO. He came all the way from Poland just to talk to us about what's going on around in Europe. Please, stage is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, organizers, for inviting me here. I am very excited to present our ideas, our concepts, and our experience in the cradle of our European civilization. I am especially proud because we are bringing also the honorary patronage of the Polish embassy in Athens. And I am personally happy because as a student, I spent 3 months in Athens as a student internship working for OTA. So there were good times, really. I represent IS Wireless. We are a small 50 people player, a leader in European Open RAN. We bring private 5G, which we think is a game changer for enterprise connectivity. 5G, as it is built today, doesn't have to be very complex. Actually, it can be as simple as Wi-Fi in its deployment. So we can see an installation of radio units, basically, then software porting on existing resources, and that's basically it. So the level, the barrier, the threshold for entering the installation of such a network is much lower. The networks are getting far more simplified than they used to be so far. And as such, there is a huge opportunity for new players to come to build the networks, especially when we take into account this bottom-up movement of localized networks with the localized frequencies. And if we construct the network solutions wisely, we can be future-proof, and we can really very efficiently use the existing resources. So when we're looking inside of such a private 5G network, then absolutely we see the separation between the hardware part and the software part. This is what we call virtualization. It happened some time ago already. We also see disaggregation of the elements that are within the stack of the base station that so far used to be a sort of a blocky single component. So we see RU, radio unit, DU, distributed unit, CU, centralized unit, as well as a controller that happened to be part of 2G and 3G, but then it disappeared in 4G. Sort of a different target and goal has this new controller right now. Now, the separation of software from hardware gives rise to opening the value chain. And this is also the kind of popular granularity of functionality as we see it right now. But is it good enough? Let's think a little bit about how the future networks could look like or would look like. Well, right now we have, let's say, a site, a localization, we have a server room, and possibly some centralized node. And the software functionality of the actual private network is ported over those nodes. But in a very near future, we can expect and should expect, especially in areas like that you have here, ports, lots of locations, lots of infrastructure that is there for a different purpose than just telecommunications, cranes, city furnitures. We should expect proliferation of edge computing, absolutely, that's for sure. So there will be much more of the computing elements all around us. Plus, if we want to provide exponentially rising capacity, we need to densify the network in the radio part. Therefore, we need a different class of radio access network. We need a sort of a liquid network, such that you can pour into the available resources already there. Just to note, please, currently, most of the time, the resources such as computers or the bandwidth are not used at all because we are designing the networks for the worst case. So there is a lot to be done in terms of granularization of the actual network itself and its portability and interoperability, which dramatically opens up the value chain and allows new players inclusively. So those networks can benefit, many new entrants can benefit from such a setup, not just a few as it was so far. So I mentioned a little bit about the efficient use of resources, such as computing and spectrum. And yes, efficient use of resources, this is also a pivotal element to linking technical performance with the user quality. So by smart allocation of resources, if we get into the details, the channels and their elements, like the physical resource blocks, we can achieve various goals of the 5G system. And of course, we recognize the famous 5G triangle with different quality of service targets. They can be met by manipulation of the resources themselves. So this is also a sort of a direction that we are taking in addressing very restrictive use cases, basically with the very same infrastructure. And let me give you a couple of examples of our deployments. So as a rising vendor, we are already commercially operating, and also to kind of spur the imagination to see what can be done here. So on the left-hand side, we see a large macro site built for the largest Polish oil and petroleum company, Orlen, that was just providing the 5G standalone connectivity. We provided their complete RAN and core. The middle picture shows the indoor Industry 4.0 robot steering small private network deployment in Kraków, that's in Poland. And right-hand picture shows the hall where we are building right now very similar network, but with a very stringent requirements for the reliability of the connections in Berlin for the consortium consisting of T-Systems, Osram, and Fraunhofer. Then a very important, already mentioned, niche are mission-critical applications or PPDR applications. They are especially important in Poland because you know that with the situation at the border that we have, these topics are of prime importance. And we have built a complete network-in-the-box system where in such a small box like this one on the left-hand side, we squeezed the entire RAN, radio access network, core, and also mission-critical applications like push-to-talk, call-to-many, and so on. And deployment of such network, this is the mid picture, you don't see the complete scenario, but it is a small portable base station. It took us 5 minutes to deploy it into the field for the exercises with the PPDR representatives and also our territorial forces. It was, as I believe, it was done in the 800 megahertz band, a special band that we have available there. And we used LTE because there are much more ruggedized phones available with LTE. And the right-hand side shows how this solution can be used in a vehicle, what we were demonstrating at the International Defense Industry Exhibition. Another example deployment is education, a very important one, because we need to train new engineers, scientists, to grow and build these concepts here so that they can be exported from here. And this is also the sort of a target and a goal that we have locally in Poland. We want more of an export forces rather than buying all the time from abroad. And as such, we work with the local universities like Białystok Technical University, or we work with various labs like the Sonic Labs, a very important undertaking initiated by the British government. There are more examples, but I don't have the pictures of all of them. And last but not least, very important use cases are ports, already mentioned, of course. So IS Wireless is part of the large 6 years Dutch project called 6G FNS, Future Network Systems, where partners include Port of Rotterdam and also Schiphol Airport. The mid picture shows Riga Freeport, and I'm just a week after a meeting at Riga where we signed an agreement with Riga Technical University to deploy 5G private network there for the purpose of training students how to install this network, and also how we can program this network with the use of XApps, but also getting into more details of the network structures. And the concept is we are working on it right now to extend it to Riga port, to have a very ambitious use case there. And last but not least, Malta Seaport is where we will be deploying private 5G as part of Assist IoT project. So these use cases are really happening right now. They are accessible also from the position of a small player. We are just 50 people company. And with the proper attitude, this knowledge can be shared, because truly the times have come where the wonders of technology can be, let's say, consumed by many, but not a few. So these are the partners and customers with whom we work. They cover various players on the telco ecosystem, including hardware, software, but also science. So finally, let me finish with this statement from one of the hockey players. So a good hockey player plays where the puck is, while a great hockey player plays where the puck is going to be. I call for focusing not for the needs of today, but for the needs of tomorrow, and leapfrogging current network architectures. Do not repeating the mistakes that others have made, and in such an attitude and with such a way, we truly can be leaders. And I think that this ambition is very much close to my heart, as indicated at the beginning by Marius and by other organizers. So I thank you very much. And I'm there for your questions and whatever is needed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Slavomir. Thank you very much for your very, very interesting presentation with, I would say, in some areas, mind-opening points, which we are looking forward in cooperating with you and other Polish partners for fostering them. I would like this moment to give our gratitude to the Polish Embassy in Athens, which supports this event, and to mention that we had a very important cooperation with the Polish Digital Innovation Hub in Silesia. We had, except from the general cooperation, that very strong cooperation that we have inside the Digital Innovation Hubs network, we led a big proposal in Digital Europe program in the TEF Smart Cities, the Test and Experimentation Smart Cities, which took a very, very high ranking, but no budget. You know, sometimes it happens. The budget, it was for two players that could get half and half, or for one big player that could take it all. And France and another partnership took it. But we're looking forward for the next phase with Poland, where we find many, many interesting innovators and open-minded people that we cooperate. Thank you, Slavomir. Thank you. Next to our meeting, I would like to ask Mr. Dimitrios Lalos, CEO of Marquee Wireless, to come to the speaker. And we have a delay with the connection of our friends from World Bank, which will follow later. So, Mr. Laos, thank you very much.
Good morning. I will start with some fundamentals of smart cities, and then I will show you some applications and some solutions we have come up in the US in cooperation with some of the cellular companies utilizing 5G, but also LTE. So I'm gonna start from I guess the way we name it in the U.S. Smart City 101 by explaining what a smart city is. Is basically a technological implementation for urban areas where you collect a lot of data, and then through analysis and of the data you receive, you basically help urban planners to actually apply into city functions. Those functions include traffic management, mobility, parking, clean energy, water, and waste management. In some studies that are conducted in the U.S., the majority of the demands has been on sustainability and primarily clean air, very closely with quality of life type of projects, public safety, and also public health. Now, the collection methodology might be the same as far as technology is concerned, but how you actually analyze the data might be different. So even though cities might look the same, cities might utilize data for different purposes to fit exactly what the cities want to do. So as technology people, we have to think about what is the actual goal that those cities are trying to achieve. In the previous presentation, Fotis actually outlined some of those technologies and devices. What's important here is that the data that is actually collected by those devices is analyzed and tabulated, and then you help the city to achieve the economic development that they actually need to achieve, or what is the goal that they're trying to achieve, instead of just applying data to provide just the infrastructure that you're trying to analyze. It's very important that the efficiency, or actually even the security of the network, is addressed if you want to do the job right. Some of these solutions, as you see here, might include a lot of smart technologies. What's important is that this function is actually automated. And you can achieve a lot of efficiencies by utilizing those technologies the right way. This is what actually Fotis said, the same thing, where the physical infrastructure merges with digital data. Now, the secret here is that all this data that you actually collect come from different platforms, hardware platforms and also software platforms. Those systems must talk to each other. You cannot just implement systems that are separate from each other. So when you look at interoperability, it is very important that there's a common database that is accessible where all the data is tabulated and analyzed. You cannot just run from computer to computer just to see different results. Some of the US smart city projects that actually have been applied, I'm providing some of the cities. Those are some of those, but there's a huge variety of different things that we have done in the US. Obviously, data exists, is available, and whoever decides to do a smart city project, they can access this data, and we'll encourage anything that we do here in Greece. We do the same thing. So the data is available to others to learn as well. So let's talk about what Marquee Wireless does and some of the solutions we offer. We actually have done a lot of things, practical things. One of our partners, our big partners, is AT&T. And what's important on what we actually did is aesthetics. We realized early enough that the industry is not really paying attention to aesthetics. A lot of the solutions look pretty ugly. And there are a lot of complaints from citizens. We have a number of towns in the US that actually prohibit the small cell in their communities, or actually bringing antennas in their communities, purely from the basis of looks. Things just don't look good. So what we have done is we have created this platform that is aesthetically pleasing and has the majority of the smart city applications on it. So it's a hardware platform that you can house a lot of those communications hardware, a lot of the safety hardware, a lot of beacons and sensors that you actually need to select or actually collect the information you need. It also has, it provides the functionality of a kiosk. So for the citizens, they can access actually a lot of information just by visiting the device. And they can interact if they need to with smartphones and achieve the functions that actually are needed for a smart city. So the most complex installation we have achieved today is at the zoo, at a very large zoo actually, in Chicago. And this, with a cooperation actually with a number of partners that we have that we're listing. And under the partnership we have with AT&T, we installed this modular platform in less than 2 hours. And the idea here is to actually do a fully integrated approach and install things rather quickly and provide service right away. Now, here is a surprise for a lot of you guys that are in the cellular industry. I'm sure you know what the macro site is. Macro sites are the big tower sites or what you see in rooftops. What we have done here with AT&T, actually with Ericsson equipment, we have installed a fully functional microsite operating in 3 different frequencies with Wi-Fi radios, cameras, and also sensors on the same platform. We actually integrate this in our facility and we ship it as it is. So we can install this in a couple of hours. It becomes operational basically the same day. Something that the cellular industry has not done, not achieved even with small cells, that they're probably a 10th in capacity of this implementation. To go further, we have also integrated this platform with an electric vehicle charging station. Obviously, EV charging stations are very popular in the US. I know they're becoming very popular in Europe as well. This is a solution that actually includes all of the features that I spoke before and EV charging stations at the same time. We have actually 4 EV charging stations in this setup. And here comes a challenge for you guys. 4 this year is 1 for you. And also for IS Wireless. You guys were talking about distributed type of architectures and how you achieve this. As you know, based on the specifications, 5G necessitates that you move data from the microsite, the big microsite, into the small cells, typically using fiber optics. We are providing an approach here. It's something that we're working with AT&T as well, where you have a distributed system where there's a localized solution for small cells. So the baseband units, the BBUs, are moved into our platform, and from there, we actually move traffic out to the small cells. What's important here is latency, something that all previous speakers spoke about. We can achieve latency this way of down to less than 2 milliseconds, back and forth. We're not talking about one way, because now the information goes directly to the edge. It doesn't have to go through a number of routers to get where the actual site is. So this is a solution that you guys should consider as well. So how will this design look like? Basically, you can see up on top is basically the big microsite. We have our smart cell in the middle, and then you have devices at the street level. And you also have vehicles or people or others that want to gather certain information. So what we are actually, we have designed, actually we have also a smart light that we have developed. I'm not showing it here, but we have a smart light actually that goes on the back of the light and integrates on any type of, any brand of LED light. So what's important here is that you actually select the right partners. That's very important. And partnership is something that will give you access to a number of technologies, and getting into also next generation solutions. So the partners you choose, they have to be flexible. They cannot just look at specific technologies that they have themselves, but also look into the future. Some of the architectures I showed you before, there are actually things that are talking about the 6G right now. So in the development of the specifications for 6G, when we're talking about distributed architecture of mobile edge, we can do it actually right now, and this is what we're working on, and hopefully we will implement this by the end of the year. Thank you.
Dear Mr. Lielius, thank you very much for a very interesting presentation with innovative approach to the deployment of infrastructure and towers. Hopefully this would be of interest also to this part of the world. Very interesting, and thank you very much for being with us. Now, we would like to give the screen to two distinguished international experts from World Bank, from the World Bank Group for Gov Tech and Governance and Global Practice in Governance, João Ricardo Vascolos, Senior Governance Specialist, and Khurram Farouk, Senior Financial Management Specialist. João and Farouk, thank you very much for being with us in Athens, virtually in Athens. Together with João and Farouk, under their guidance, we work together, and Nikos Vasilakis, who is here from our side, for the editing and development of the how-to note on mobile government, which is a very important milestone in the international exchange of experience regarding the implementation of new technologies, mobile technologies in the government internationally. João and Farouk, thank you very much for being with us and presenting this accomplishment. Thank you. The screen is yours.
Thanks, Yanis. Thank you very much. Thanks, colleagues. João, you will share the screen? Yes, so this is the Gov Tech note, the MGov, mobile government, that we prepared in partnership with our partner countries, which we'll share later. So this is the note about the mobile government. Next slide. There are more than 8.6 billion mobile network subscriptions, which is slightly more than the population of the world. And this is from 11 million in the 1990s to this is a figure 2020. So exponential growth of mobile network subscriptions. And the fastest growing regions are Africa and Asia, 28% and 27% growth. 95% of the population has access to mobile network. So mobile phones help more and more people connect to the jobs, business opportunities, and services they need to escape poverty. And this is one of the most pro-poor transformative technology in the last 2 decades. So we are promoting that the government should use and promote the mobile government in addition to the other channels of communication. The reason is very simple. Even if the governments have developed online portals for public service delivery and information, most of the poor people do not have broadband or a laptop or a computer, personal computer, to access those portals and services. Whereas almost everybody these days has a mobile phone. So mobile phone offers immense opportunities, which we will share. Some of those opportunities we'll share later. So this note was presented in this background to promote, and there's a transformation, there's a paradigm shift in the way the governments are thinking across the world. And then mobile government is being more and more integrated into the services that the government is providing. Next slide. So mobile, for example, is more than 1 billion people in the world do not have ID. So mobile is a proxy for ID in most of these people. 11% of the population has fixed broadband. 88% in the rural areas are covered by broadband. So there are so many limitations which the mobile can actually cut. Similarly, people with disabilities and limited literacy, mobile can give them speech to text communication. And then, as I mentioned, mobile provides a potential proxy for ID for most of the citizens who do not have ID. Next slide, please. Similarly, in financial inclusion, 1.9 billion of the adult world population remains unbanked. So if you want to send them social welfare payments or bring them into the financial net, mobile and digital payments offers them a good solution, and which is basically being rolled out across the world in most of the countries. So out of the unbanked 1.9 billion, 2/3 have a mobile phone, and 57%, which is quite a substantial move actually from the previous years. 57% make or receive a digital payment. So immediate cash support can be given for urgent needs, and people can be paid subsidies. People can be made a lot of other social welfare payments, which is and during COVID it was happening across the world. So this is how various governments are bringing more and more people within the financial net. Next slide, please. Similarly, the cost and the efficiency. So e-government solutions, they have a potential to reach 7% of the citizens, whereas mGov has a potential to reach 74% of the citizens. So it has the impact. If the people are given online, mobile-based access to the services, it will reduce pollution, it will reduce cost, it will reduce time, and it will enhance GDP, which we have actually some of these things we have given in much more detail in our Gov Tech how-to note. Next slide, please. Yeah, similarly, the quality of the user experience. Mobile phones now have sensors. They can track your location, and the location can be used for so many services. Health services or education services or agriculture services, which I will give some examples in the next slide. So it enhances user experience, and it also enhances citizen engagement. We will also mention in our next slide. Next, please. So, but at the same time, we should be cognizant that price and affordability, network subscription, trust, and security are some of the challenges that we still need to encounter and face and overcome. Similarly, the user-friendly design is another challenge which needs to be kept in mind. And then many countries do not have the digital foundations to enhance the mobile. So, for example, the integrated backend systems or interoperability systems or network. 5G is an example of network. Every country doesn't have 5G, but we have a lot of challenges that we need to face and support our client countries, especially in the poor developing countries. And similarly, fragmentation of administration are some of the other issues. Next slide, please. So we have seen a wide range of use cases of the mobile. For example, in the core government system, in public service delivery and citizen engagement in the core government systems. Information, all the digital public services are delivered through mobile apps in many of the countries. Even poor countries are providing mobile apps-based services. In agriculture, you can give them messages about drought, flood. In health sector, you can 1.9 billion people don't have access to clean drinking water. So just sending them an SMS message about you to use chlorine to purify the water can save lives. Similarly, in many poor countries, the children do not have the money to buy storybooks. So there are countries in Africa and Asia that the education departments are sending stories through the mobile to the parents so that they can read free, children's stories to their children to enhance their mental capabilities and growth. And similarly, citizen engagement, in which you can have text messages to get citizen feedback on a whole wide range of issues, is another important application that we have seen growing in our portfolio. Jao, maybe you can slip the next 2 slides and then you can start your section, because I think we are running short of time.
Okay, thanks a lot, Kuram, on this. So as my colleague mentioned, so based on all this knowledge and benefiting also from the input of different countries, we launched our mobile government How to Note. So it was How to Note that was developed together by the Gov Tech global unit of the World Bank, and with the big support of the Federal Ministry of Finance of Austria. So the How to Note that is available on the link here presented in the screen provides really implementation driven recommendations to policymakers, to our colleagues from the bank that work in the field, but generally to all Gov Tech senior officials interested on this topic. And of course, because we like to do what we preach, this kind of how to note goes beyond, let's say, goes beyond the just providing a general background about these issues, and really deep dives on what are the steps that need to be given in this area. So I deeply recommend you to check on this. Let me also highlight, as mentioned, that that within our Gov Tech global partnerships, and this is the root of this How to Note, we developed our Gov Tech working groups, and the Gov Tech working groups are forums namely for knowledge sharing, but mostly for community building that are focused on different domains. So what we try to do is we bring on board stakeholders from different countries, governments, but also academia, civil society, the private sector, to jointly and regularly discuss on different Gov Tech topics. So on this, we have 3 more mobile groups underway, 1 on mobile government, 1 on interoperability, and 1 on cloud computing. And what makes this kind of approach particularly interesting, let's say, is the fact that these groups are really what we call them country-driven, meaning it's not the World Bank that is, let's say, having a kind of top-down approach and saying where the kind of work that should be developed. It's really within the countries that the agenda of the working group is decided. So it's the countries that are part of each one of these working groups that decide what to work with. And that's why we had, and within specifically in this area, we have a mobile government working group, because mobile government was identified as a critical area. And this mobile government working group it's led by the governments of Austria and Brazil, but brings on board additional 20 member countries. So from Bangladesh to Portugal, to Panama, to the UAE, Ukraine, Uruguay, Greece, namely, and that's why we are here. So we have around the table experts from all these countries that sharing knowledge, and that were absolutely fundamental, providing experience and providing insights to the mobile government, how to note that we presented to you and that we deeply recommend. Let me also underline that all of this is developed within our Gov Tech global partnership of the World Bank. That is a multi-stakeholder initiative that brings together, again, leading Gov Tech countries, but also development partners, the civil society and academia, the private sector, and aspiring Gov Tech countries, and focusing on different components here. So we focus on analytics and thought leadership, we focus on global public goods, and on country regional engagement. For instance, the how to note on mobile government was developed within the component one of the Gov Tech global partnership. Let me also say that this is a partnership that brings together today more than 60 partners, again, government, academia, civil society, and the private sector, and they come from the different regions of the globe. Can come from Brazil, like you can see, can come from Mozambique, Italy, Greece here, as it's very rightly mentioned here, but also bringing other international organizations on board, like the European Commission, the OECD, etc. The purpose here, it's really knowledge sharing and a joint commitment and public commitment on the importance of Gov Tech to navigate the digital transformation underway. You can, of course, find much more of this on information on our Gov Tech website. So looking forward, and please reach out for us for any question you may have. Let me finalize thanking again for being invited to present here our work, and underlining the important contributes that Greece provided within this Gov Tech working group. And we look forward to a bigger engagement within our Gov Tech global partnership. Thank you. Over to you, Yanis.
Thank you. Thank you, João and Farouk. Thank you very much for being with us. And we're looking forward in strengthening our cooperation and participating in more initiatives for World Bank. Thank you from Athens. Bye-bye. And gentlemen, we could have a coffee break now and discuss various aspects with coffee. Thank you very much. We'll continue in 30 minutes. Thank you.
Παρακαλώ, είμαστε λίγο πίσω στο χρόνο, έως πάρα πολύ πίσω στο χρόνο. Επομένως, θα μπορούμε να έχουμε και άλλες ενδιαφέρουσες παρουσιάσεις. Το παρακάναμε και εμείς λίγο με την ατζέντα, το ξέρουμε. Αλλά let's get to it. Γιάννη, παρακαλώ.
Thank you, Maria. Και αποφασίσαμε να μην μειώσουμε τα διαλύματα, γιατί είναι πολύ ουσιαστική η δικτύωση, το networking και η επαφή την οποία έχουμε εκεί. Οπότε θα συμπιέσουμε λίγο το χρόνο. Θα θέλαμε να σας ευχαριστήσουμε για την συμμετοχή σας και πάλι και να τονίσουμε ότι πέραν από την τεχνολογική διάσταση και την αξιοποίηση της τεχνολογίας, ένας πολύ σημαντικός παράγοντας για την επιτυχία του έργου όλων μας είναι η κατάρτιση, η δημιουργία των κατάλληλων δεξιοτήτων, ικανοτήτων, του περιεχομένου και επίσης ειδικά για το δημόσιο χώρο η επιμόρφωση των στελεχών σε αυτές τις τεχνολογίες, αλλά και στη διαχείριση, στο change management και όλα αυτά τα οποία χρειάζεται να έχει ένας δημόσιος λειτουργός για να το πετύχει. Και θα ήθελα να σας πω ότι με μεγάλη μας χαρά και με τιμή μας σήμερα φιλοξενούμε 15, άμεσα ή με τηλεσύνδεση, πολλούς σπουδαστές της Εθνικής Σχολής Δημόσιας Διοίκησης, οι οποίοι είναι στελέχοι της δημόσιας διοίκησης που ανανεώνουν τις γνώσεις τους, αποκτούν νέες δεξιότητες για να λειτουργήσουν διαφορετικά στο δημόσιο τομέα, για να αλλάξουμε μαζί το δημόσιο, να το πούμε έτσι, σαν σλόγγαν. και χαιρόμαστε πάρα πολύ. Ευχαριστούμε πρώτα απ' όλα τον Γενικό Διευθυντή της Εθνικής Σχολής Δημόσιας Διοίκησης, τον κύριο Θανάση Ράπτη, ο οποίος σήμερα δεν είναι μαζί μας γιατί είναι σε ταξίδι στο εξωτερικό και συζητήσαμε αν θα ήταν σκόπιμο να κάνει μια ομιλία μέσω τηλεδιάσκεψης, αλλά προτίμησε να στείλει την καθήλυνα αρμόδια, την κυρία Νίκη Παπαελιού, η οποία είναι η υπεύθυνη σπουδών και έρευνας της Εθνικής Σχολής Δημόσιας Διοίκησης και την οποία χαιρόμαστε ιδιαίτερα που είναι μαζί μας και που έχει φέρει τους σπουδαστές και που στοχεύουν, πιστεύω ότι θα αξιοποιήσουν και την παρουσία τους σήμερα και στα εργαστήρια μετά, για να μας δώσουν και μια εικόνα του τι θα μπορούσαμε να κάνουμε. Κυρία Παπαϊλού, το βήμα είναι δικό σας. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ.
Αξιότιμες κυρίες και κύριοι, εκπροσωπώντας την Εθνική Σχολή Δημόσιας Διοίκησης και Αυτοδιοίκησης, την ΕΣΔΑ, και εκ μέρους του Διευθυντή μας, κυρίου Αθανάσιου Ράπτη, ο οποίος λόγω ανηλυμένων έκτακτων υπηρεσιακών υποχρεώσεων στο εξωτερικό δεν μπόρεσε να είναι μαζί μας, θα ήθελα να ευχαριστήσω τους διοργανωτές για την τιμητική πρόσκληση που δέχτηκε η σχολή να συμμετέχει στις εργασίες της σημερινής, πραγματικά πολύ ενδιαφέρουσας εκδήλωσης. Οι αναδυόμενες τεχνολογίες δημιουργούν αναμφίβολα νέες προκλήσεις, μεταξύ άλλων και για την ελληνική δημόσια διοίκηση, επηρεάζοντας δραστικά τους φορείς της, τη λειτουργία τους, τη σχέση τους με τους πολίτες, αλλά και την καθημερινότητα των υπαλλήλων της. Τα δεδομένα στις σχέσεις κράτους-πολίτη, διοίκησης-διοικούμενου, συναρτώνται άμεσα από τις επιταχυνόμενες τεχνολογικές εξελίξεις, ενώ ταυτόχρονα το κράτος καλείται να καταστεί συνεχώς περισσότερο αποτελεσματικό και ανταγωνιστικό σε όρους μετρήσιμης οικονομικής ευημερίας και κοινωνικής δικαιοσύνης. Το ζήτημα του ψηφιακού μετασχηματισμού, εκτός από την καθαρά τεχνολογική του διάσταση, εμπεριέχει μία ακόμα διάσταση εξίσου σημαντική. Η διάσταση αυτή δεν είναι άλλη από την ανάπτυξη των απαραίτητων δεξιοτήτων του ανθρώπινου δυναμικού για την αξιοποίηση των προηγμένων τεχνολογιών. Ο ψηφιακός μετασχηματισμός του κράτους είναι άρρηκτα συνδεδεμένος με τις ψηφιακές δεξιότητες των δημοσίων υπαλλήλων, καθώς η αναβάθμιση των παρεχόμενων υπηρεσιών των φορέων της δημόσιας διοίκησης και αυτοδιοίκησης προς τους πολίτες μέσω της αξιοποίησης των ΤΟΥΠΟΕ εξαρτάται άμεσα από το επίπεδο ψηφιακής κατάρτισης του προσωπικού. Οι ψηφιακές δεξιότητες των δημοσίων υπαλλήλων αποτελούν τον καταλύτη για ένα έξυπνα ψηφιακά κράτος. Συνεπώς, σήμερα που η τεχνολογία εξελίσσεται με ταχύς ρυθμούς, η ενίσχυση των ψηφιακών δεξιοτήτων των δημοσίων υπαλλήλων καθίσταται όλο και πιο επιτακτική. Σε αυτό το πλαίσιο, η Εθνική Σχολή Δημόσιας Διοίκησης και Αυτοδιοίκησης, ως παραγωγική σχολή του δημοσίου και εκπαίδευση εξειδικευμένων δημοσίων υπαλλήλων υψηλών προσόντων, προωθεί την ενίσχυση των ψηφιακών γνώσεων και δεξιοτήτων των σπουδαστών και σπουδαστριών της, προκειμένου οι απόφοιτοι να συνδράμουν αποτελεσματικά στον ψηφιακό μετασχηματισμό της ελληνικής δημόσιας διοίκησης. Εξελίσσουμε συνεχώς το σύστημα εκπαίδευσης της σχολής, ώστε να ανταποκρίνεται στις τεχνολογικές επιταγές της εποχής και τη συνεπακόλουθη απέτηση για διαρκή αναβάθμιση των δεξιοτήτων των στελεχών της δημόσιας διοίκησης. Για εμάς, στην Εθνική Σχολή Δημόσιας Διοίκησης και Αυτοδιοίκησης, η δημόσια διοίκηση δεν είναι απρόσωπη. Είναι πάνω απ' όλα οι άνθρωποι της. Προετοιμάζοντας λοιπόν τα στελέχη του αύριο, καταβάλουμε κάθε δυνατή προσπάθεια για να παρέχουμε στις σπουδάστριες και τους σπουδαστές μας όλα τα κατάλληλα εφόδια, την απαραίτητη κατάρτιση, τις χρήσιμες δεξιότητες για την ομαλή και επιτυχή μετάβαση του δημόσιου τομέα στη νέα ψηφιακή εποχή. Ειδικότερα, στην ΕΣΔΑ λειτουργεί τμήμα ψηφιακής πολιτικής, το οποίο εκπαιδεύει τα μελλοντικά, εξειδικευμένα σε σύγχρονα ζητήματα ψηφιακής πολιτικής στελέχη του δημόσιου τομέα. Σκοπός του συγκεκριμένου τμήματος είναι να μεταδώσει στις σπουδάστριες και στους σπουδαστές του τις δεξιότητες εκείνες που θα τους καταστήσουν ικανούς και ικανές να διαχειρίζονται αποτελεσματικά καταστάσεις, να αξιοποιούν ευκαιρίες, να προβλέπουν και να συνεκτιμούν τα δρόμενα των ψηφιακών πολιτικών και των νέων τεχνολογιών, τόσο στο διεθνές όσο και στο ευρωπαϊκό περιβάλλον, με απότερο στόχο τον επιτυχή ψηφιακό μετασχηματισμό της δημόσιας διοίκησης. Θέλουμε οι σπουδαστές μας να λειτουργούν ως μοχλή αλλαγής και καινοτομίας στο πλαίσιο των υπηρεσιών τους, προώθησης και υποστήριξης των ψηφιακών πολιτικών και υπηρεσιών και εν τέλει ως αποτελεσματικά στελέχη για την προώθηση της ψηφιακής αναβάθμισης της χώρας συνολικά. και με ιδιαίτερη χαρά η πλειοψηφία των σπουδαστών της 29ης σειράς του Τμήματος Ψηφιακής Πολιτικής συμμετέχουν στη σημερινή ημερίδα. Πέραν του συγκεκριμένου τμήματος όμως, η σχολή προωθεί συνολικότερα στο πρόγραμμα σπουδών της την αναβάθμιση των ψηφιακών ικανοτήτων των σπουδαστών και σπουδαστριών της. Έχοντας ως βασικό πυλώνα την ενίσχυση των ψηφιακών δεξιοτήτων, εμπλουτίζουμε συνεχώς το πρόγραμμα σπουδών με σχετικά μαθήματα για όλα τα τμήματα της σχολής. Οριζόντια λοιπόν, σε όλα τα τμήματα, διδάσκονται πλέον εκτός από το βασικό εργαστήριο ανάπτυξης ψηφιακών δεξιοτήτων και άλλα περισσότερο εξειδικευμένα μαθήματα ψηφιακής πολιτικής. Τέτοια μαθήματα αποτελούν για παράδειγμα τα συνεργατικά εργαλεία του ΠΟΕ στη δημόσια διοίκηση, η ηλεκτρονική διακυβέρνηση και ο ψηφιακός μετασχηματισμός, η ηλεκτρονική διαχείριση εγγράφων και ηλεκτρονικές υπογραφές, η κυβερνοασφάλεια στη δημόσια διοίκηση, η προστασία των δεδομένων προσωπικού χαρακτήρα και τα ανοιχτά δεδομένα στη δημόσια διοίκηση, καθώς και η αποτύπωση, μοντελοποίηση, προτυποποίηση και διαχείριση διοικητικών διαδικασιών. Επιπλέον, στο πλαίσιο της πρόσφατης μεταρρύθμισης για τη συγκρότηση του κλάδου των επιτελικών στελεχών, έχουμε συμπεριλάβει την ειδικότητα των αναλυτών ψηφιακής πολιτικής. Πρόκειται για μια πρωτοβουλία που στοχεύει στην αναβάθμιση των υπαλλήλων υψηλών προσόντων, οι οποίοι υπηρετούν το δημόσιο συμφέρον από θέσεις εξειδίκευσης στον τομέα της ψηφιακής πολιτικής. Πραγματοποιούμε ακόμα εξειδικευμένες διαλέξεις και εργαστήρια για τους σπουδαστές μας, όπως για παράδειγμα οι πρόσφατες ημερίδες για τη διαστημική πολιτική της ΕΕ και την επίδραση των διαστημικών τεχνολογιών στους διάφορους τομείς πολιτικής, η ημερίδα για την τεχνητή νοημοσύνη και για την ψηφιακή καινοτομία. Ακόμα, οργανώνουμε στο πλαίσιο του εκπαιδευτικού μας προγράμματος εκπαιδευτικές επισκέψεις σε εξειδικευμένους φορείς που άπτονται της ψηφιακής διακυβέρνησης τόσο στην Ελλάδα όσο και στο εξωτερικό. Τέτοιοι φορείς αποτέλεσαν, για παράδειγμα, η Γενική Διεύθυνση Μεταρρυθμίσεων της Ευρωπαϊκής Επιτροπής, η γνωστή DigiReform, και ο Ευρωπαϊκός Οργανισμός Διαστήματος, ο ESA, στο πλαίσιο της πρόσφατης εκπαιδευτικής μας επίσκεψης στο εξωτερικό. Και εδώ θα ήθελα να τονίσω τη σημασία που δίνει η σχολή στη συνεργασία με επιστήμονες, τεχνοκράτες και στελέχη της διοίκησης, καθώς και στις συνέργειες με φορείς και οργανισμούς, τόσο από την Ελλάδα όσο και από άλλα κράτη, ιδιαίτερα σε αντικείμενα αιχμής, όπως οι σύγχρονες τεχνολογίες. Θεωρούμε ιδιαίτερα σημαντικό το ρόλο της ανταλλαγής τεχνογνωσίας και της ενίσχυσης εξωστρέφειας, προκειμένου να διασφαλίσουμε για τις σπουδάστριες και τους σπουδαστές μας τις απαραίτητες γνώσεις και δεξιότητες, ώστε ως αυριανά στελέχη της δημόσιας διοίκησης να μπορούν να απαντήσουν στις προκλήσεις του μέλλοντος. Γι' αυτό άλλωστε και δίνουμε έμφαση στη συμμετοχή μας σε πρωτοβουλίες όπως η σημερινή, οι οποίες αφενός αναδεικνύουν τις σύγχρονες και ταχαίως αναπτυσσόμενες τεχνολογικές εξελίξεις και αφετέρου χτίζουν γέφυρες μεταξύ του δημόσιου τομέα, του επιχειρηματικού κόσμου και της επιστημονικής κοινότητας. Θα κλείσω λοιπόν λέγοντας ακόμα μία φορά ένα μεγάλο ευχαριστώ για την πρόσκληση εκ μέρους της Εθνικής Σχολής και του Διευθυντή μας κυρίου Αθανάσιου Ράπτη και ευχόμενη καλή συνέχεια στη ημερίδα. Ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Ευχαριστούμε πολύ την κυρία Παπαϊλιού. Αυτά που μας ανέφερε είναι αυτά που θέλουμε και ευελπιστούμε να είναι το πρόσωπο της δημόσιας διοίκησης τα επόμενα χρόνια. Επιτελικά στελέχη που να μπορούν να κατανοούν τις ανάγκες, τις τεχνολογίες, τις δυνατότητες, να μπορούν να συνομιλούν αποδοτικά με τους άλλους συμμέτοχους, επιχειρηματικούς, ερευνητικούς, άλλους φορείς και να σχεδιάζουμε μαζί το μέλλον. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ για τη συμμετοχή σας. Και περιμένουμε και τα αποτελέσματα των εργασιών που θα θέσετε στους σπουδαστές, εργασιών εννοώ, να μας δώσουν feedback που λένε στα αρχαία ελληνικά από τη σημερινή ημερίδα και κυρίως από τα τραπέζια εργασίας. Πέραν της πλευράς του δημοσίου που ασχολείται με την ανάπτυξη των δεξιοτήτων, σήμερα έχουμε μαζί μας και μια άλλη πλευρά, αυτή που ασχολείται με την ανάπτυξη και τη σύνδεση με τα χρηματοδοτικά εργαλεία. Τα χρηματοδοτικά εργαλεία της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης και ιδιαίτερα αυτά που συνδέουν την Ευρώπη, που συνδέουν με τηλεπικοινωνιακά δίκτυα, με υποδομές, με όλες αυτές τις απαιτούμενες δράσεις, οι οποίες είναι και εθνικές και πολλές φορές διασυνοριακές, διακρατικές. Έτσι λοιπόν, καλωσορίζουμε, υποδεχόμαστε την κυρία Βασιλική Παχή, η οποία είναι Program Officer της αντίστοιχης μονάδας που ασχολείται με την παρακολούθηση και διαχείριση και επικοινωνία με τα χρηματοδοτικά εργαλεία. Η μονάδα πλέον ανήκει, παλιότερα ήταν στο Υπουργείο Ανάπτυξης, αν δεν κάνω λάθος, κυρία Παχή, τώρα ανήκει στο Υπουργείο Οικονομικών, αλλά θα μας τα πει εκείνη. Κυρία Παχή, παρακαλώ, το βήμα είναι σε εσάς. Ευχαριστώ.
Καλημέρα σας. Good morning, everybody. I'm Vasiliki Pachi. I'm in Unit E of the Special Service for the Coordination of Planning, Evaluation, and Implementation of the Ministry of Economy and Finance. And EISAE, this is the Greek name, is a special service of the General Secretariat for Public Investment and NSRF of the Greek Ministry of Economy and Finance. Its main duties is the programming, monitoring and coordination, the implementation of the 2021-27 operation programs, the supporting and facilitating the managing authorities in order to accelerate implementation, and to coordinate Connecting Europe Facility mechanism. Connecting Europe Facility, CEF. CEF finances projects in the transport, energy and digital sector. The aim of the Connecting Europe Facility is to accelerate investments in the field of trans-European network and to leverage funding from both the public and the private sectors. The TEN-T guidelines require, with regard to the new technology and innovation, that the TEN-T enables the decarbonization of all transport modes by stimulating energy efficiency and the use of alternative fuels. Actions under CEF2 should contribute 60% of the overall financing envelope of the program to climate objectives. In the new CEF2 regulation, the Union, in order to achieve smarter, sustainable and inclusive growth and to stimulate job creation, recognized the need of an up-to-date multimodal high-performance infrastructure to help connect and integrate the Union and all its region, including insular and sparsely populated ones, in the transport, digital and energy sector. Okay. The important objectives of the CEF2 is to deliver increased synergies and complementarity between the transport, energy and digital sectors. For that purpose, the CEF adopt work programs that address specific interventions areas, for instance, as regard connected and automated mobility or sustainable alternative fuels. And important within each of the transport, energy or digital sectors, actions may include synergetic elements relating to one of the other sectors, providing that the cost of the synergetic elements does not exceed 20% of the total eligible cost. Money. Available funds. CEF2, the total budget of CEF2 is 33.7 billion euros for whole Europe. For the digital sector, the money are 2 billions for Europe, and are for projects of common interest, increased resilience and capacity of digital backbone networks and digitalization of transport and energy networks. CEF is implemented in direct management of the European Commission via two executive agencies, SIDNEA for the sector transport and energy and HADEA for digital sector. Up to now, 11 projects have been approved by the European Commission. Regarding the digital sector, the project 5G seamless roaming for the Greece-Bulgaria cross-border corridor has signed an agreement. The project starts in December 2022 with a total Hellenic cost of 7 million euros and Hellenic CEF contribution of 3.5 million euros, 50% co-funded rate. At the present, CEF has open calls for all sectors. For the transport sector, 7 billion euros are available for projects targeting new and improved European transport infrastructure. The core covers the core and the comprehensive TEN-T network in the areas of railways, maritime ports, road safety, railroad terminals, multimodal logistic platforms, multimodal passenger hubs, safe and secure mobility, and infrastructure resilience. Additionally, at the transport sector, open is a call for alternative fuels. Alternative Fuel Infrastructure Facility of CEF is implemented through a rolling call for proposal launched on September 2021 with 5 cut-off dates, with submission of proposals until the end of 2023. Due to budget constraints, the 5th cut-off, the one that the deadline is on 7th of November, will only be open to proposals supported by an implemented partner, and proposals supported by other public or private financial institutions will be declared inadmissible. Regarding the two energy calls, the first is of small budget and it's targeting to preparatory studies for cross-border renewable energy project, and the second hasn't opened yet for submission. It has only been published. Open calls in the digital sector. The total budget of the call is 241 million euros for the whole Europe, and consists of 3 separate call of tenders in 5G and edge cloud communities, backbone connectivities, and the duration of studies is up to 6 months, and for works is up to 36 months. Each proposal which is submitted for CEF to CEF for financing should have a letter of support from the member state, from Greece, if it is in the Greek territory. The procedure for obtaining the letter of support is a 3-step procedure. The beneficiary submit a proposal to the competent ministry, General Secretariat, in order to issue a document with the opinion, the consent regarding the relation of the proposed action to the national strategy. For the digital sector, this secretariat is the General Secretariat for Telecommunication and Post of the Ministry of Digital Governance. Then the coordinator submits its full proposal to the managing authority for pre-evaluation. After the pre-evaluation, the coordinator submits its final proposal to ASAE, to Ministry of Economy, and after the final check, in order to check if all the comments have been incorporated from the beneficiary, the General Secretary of Public Investments and an SRF of the Ministry of Economy and Finance issues the letter of support. The letter of support is sent by ASI to the beneficiary. These are in this slide are the competent authorities for each sector, transport, energy, digital, for issuing the letter of support. We issue circulars describing the Greek procedure. These are the funding rates: 50% for studies, 30% for works, except of the cases that actions have a strong border dimension, which is 50%, or actions in the outmost regions, 70%, or actions that implement gigabit connectivity also of socio-economic partners, which the co-fund rate is 75%. And for technical assistance, the co-fund rate is 100%. Additional information you can find in the websites of SINEA or HADEA for digital energy and transport sector, or at the website the dedicated website of the Ministry of Economy and Finance, cefelas.gr, where all the recent news and calls are published. This is all from me. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vasiliki, for the very interesting information regarding the CEF calls, the funding and the mechanism. And I would like to point out that you are a very responsible person, a very responsive organization, and we thank you for the full cooperation. Thank you very much. Marius.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to go a little bit to the future, and especially the great work that's being done by 6G Industry Association. They are one of the most active associations within the European Union and the European domain. We welcome Mr. Kostas Trichias, the Senior Researcher Project Manager of 6GIA. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Mario, for the invitation to present here a little bit about what 6GIA does and how do we connect to the landscape of beyond 5G and 6G research in Europe. So we heard this morning some very interesting presentations and some applications and use cases that 5G networks are used for. Let's see now what we have installed for the future in terms of research and innovation. So, first of all, let's talk a little bit about 6GIA, who we are and what we do and how we're connected to this whole thing. So, the 6G Industry Association is practically the voice of European industry and research for next generation networks and services. We're comprised of more than 300 members nowadays with a healthy split between large industry, your Nokias and Ericssons of the world, down to very small SMEs and startups of 1 or 2 people. We include academia, universities, research organizations, and associations. So our job is practically to represent these very large ecosystems from the private side and their interest in the beyond 5G and 6G research. Now, 6GIA has been very active. We've developed this very extensive network of partners. That includes signing several memorandum of understandings with several other regions of the world as we all try to work towards a common 6G standard. Besides, of course, the various other areas, we have very strong relationship also with several vertical associations. We're in close collaborations. We have several signed MOUs with them as well. And we constantly looking to expand our ecosystem as this is the best way to have collaborative research. Now, how does this fit? What's the role of 6GIA in the whole smart networks and services joint undertaking, which is the funding instrument for research and innovation on 5G and 6G networks? So the SNSJU is, as the name says, a joint undertaking between the public sector, which is represented by the European Commission, and the private sector, which is represented by 6GIA. A program has been created to foster and promote EU research and innovation on the greater ICT sector, and more specifically focusing on beyond 5G and 6G. It's already ongoing. It has started since 2022 with a horizon towards 2030. Within that time frame, there is a vision for multiple research and innovation projects to come to life. Our first projects have already started on January of this year, and I'll provide a little bit more information about that. But first, let me give you a little bit of an insight compared to the structure. So you can see here the 3 phases that the whole SNSJU framework has been built on. We have the initial phase of kickstarting the program with the first phase projects, and we'll go all the way towards 2030. I think our last call for projects will be around 2027, and with a usual duration of 3 years, that will take us to 2030. The first 35 projects, as I mentioned, are already operational. And we just had the announcement last week of the winners of the second call for action. That's 27 additional projects that will come alive on the 1st of January 2024. In total, the program represents 1.8 billion in funding. That's more or less split 50-50 between the public and the private sector. Now, with regards to the first call and the work that's being done there by the projects, it is a little bit of a split with regards to what the first 35 projects are looking into. So if you look at the top, you will see that we're talking about 4 streams of projects that we're looking at. Stream A was the more evolutionary approach, so technologies that were tested and developed during 5G era and how to bring them forward and take advantage of them in 6G networks. That also includes Stream D, which is the large-scale trials that we want to keep performing and testing new technologies that can go into the future. And then we have Streams B and C, which are the more revolutionary, let's say, approach, where we investigate lower TRL technologies, promising new innovations that we can take advantage for the networks of the future. With regards to the split of the 35 projects, you can see on the left-hand side that there is again a healthy split of stakeholders involved. We have again RTOs, industries, research organization. A big bet for us is always the participation of SMEs. At the initiation of the call, that was 18%, but 7 of these projects are also set to hold open calls, which we foresee will have a great participation from SMEs, so that number should rise. And the other 2 pie charts provide a little bit of a glimpse on the vertical sectors that are being covered by Phase 1 projects and on the SNS topics. So those were based on the work program that we had issued and the areas of technology that were of interest to our members and to the European Commission, of course. So we see very good coverage, for instance, in terms of architecture and EDs, and sustainability is a big issue, radio access technologies. We try to have a very healthy coverage of everything. And then in terms of verticals, you will see we had very good coverage in terms of media and XR communication, industrial IoT, PPDR, which we also heard about this morning. But again, we have a very good coverage on several verticals. We're looking to be very inclusive. Now we had the follow-up call, which is actually just announced last week. Again, that's in new 27 projects. That represents about 130 million euros in funding. There were an additional 218 unique beneficiaries. And you can see, again, the split here. We have an increased participation of SMEs, up to 26% of beneficiaries, which is very good news. And again, we have a very good, healthy split among verticals, and some of them were actually boosted for this call. We targeted specific verticals that were perhaps not that well covered in the first call. A very good example of that is automotive, which you see now takes a big part of the pie. Now, another interesting insight are the technological enablers that these projects are looking at. And you will see that, of course, artificial intelligence and machine learning is by far the most interesting enabler that most projects will include in their research. But again, there's a very good split. We're looking at various angles and technologies and want to make sure that there's a very good coverage there. This is another thing that, is actually, we saw this for the first time. This is from a survey we ran on the first set of 35 projects on the use cases and applications that they will be addressing. Again, that's very interesting for us to know after the projects have started and they had a chance to sort of mature their plans and design the roadmap, what they're looking at and what sort of use cases are covered by the program. Again, digital twinning applications, manufacturing, multisensory XR are among the top ones, but it's actually good to see that all the rest are receiving quite a lot of attention. We always pay attention to such information, so we bring back, there's a feedback loop between which projects actually get funded and what we're looking down the road in our follow-up work programs to make sure that Europe does not stay behind in any sort of use case, in any sort of technology. Now, potentially more interesting for many of you, what's coming next? So the 2023 call on the left-hand side is the one that just closed. Again, now we're looking at mostly 3 streams, so stream B, C, and D. Stream A will not come back into the work program. As we mentioned, that's something only for phase 1, which we wanted to transfer technologies from previous research. What's potentially more interesting to focus on is the 2024 work program. This is going to become publicly available somewhere mid-November, and proponents will have a chance to form the consortia and submit their proposals by the end of April. Usually those are the timelines. You can see the split on stream B, which is the revolutionary sort of research and technology. Again, architecture, wireless, infrastructure, and devices are very important aspects. We have a collaboration. We will have a collaboration in this work program with Japan and South Korea. So again, projects collaborating with those areas are very much welcomed. We have a big sustainability lighthouse project. Sustainability is one of the major themes of the 2024 work program. So there's going to be a bigger project that's going to really be focusing on sustainability. And of course, reliable AI for 6G networks and services is a big part of it. On stream C, which is more about these experimental infrastructures, we are going to have, again, a big project on microelectronics. This is an area that we want to boost from the European side. We expect some very competitive proposals. And again, stream D, more on the vertical side, on the trial side. This is now going to be opened up to all types of verticals, but again, with a component focusing on sustainability that we're looking for. Another way for you to participate, besides going for the SNSJU calls, are the open call opportunities from existing projects. So as I mentioned before, there are 7 of the existing ongoing SNS projects from phase 1. We'll hear from the coordinator of one of them, Ioannis Markopoulos from Nova is here. I'll probably mention a little bit more, but let me in general touch on this subject. This is a very nice opportunity for experimenters, SMEs, startups to join into the action of the SNSJU and potentially secure a little bit of funding to test out their ideas and their technologies. There are different targets and scopes depending on the project and depending on the open call, but there is a total available budget of 27 million that's going to be distributed by the 7 projects with a timeline between June of 2023, which is when the first open call started, and all the way up to February 2025, where the last of these open calls will take place. And just as an overview, I know this is a little bit crowded, but on the other hand, it's very handy because it has a very nice overview of which projects have open calls, what's the available budget for them, what's the high-level scope, some important dates in terms of when each of the project plans to open their open call, and of course, the link that you can follow to find out more information. My understanding is that you will get the slides after the event, so don't worry, I'm pretty sure you have all the information. But even in case you don't, the last slide is again very useful. Just a bunch of relevant links, which any of you, if you want to participate in this great big adventure of the SNSJU, should know about. So don't hesitate to visit the Smart Networks and Services website, the CGIA website. There is a specific FAQ with a lot of very useful answers. And there is, again, under the SNSJU website, there is a specific page summarizing all the open call opportunities where you can find them. And with that, I will thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to take any questions if you have them.
Thank you so much for the presentation. It was fascinating. As you see, there is available funding, and some of it is kind of easier to get with these open calls. So thank you very much. Now we move, as promised, we're going to have diverse types of presentations. we all the way now going to go towards digital maritime and the sea and ports. Therefore, Gregory, we welcome you to the stage to give us a view of the world of shipping and maritime. Thanks a lot.
Hello, my name is Gregory Ionov. I'm the Managing Director of Strategies, Maritime ICT Cluster, and in Piraeus, Greece. And I take the opportunity to thank the organizers for the invitation and the opportunity for me to present this interesting topic of the present and future of digital maritime. So an outline of my talk today, I'll be starting off with a couple of key trends that are underscoring the shaping of the shipping industry currently, and namely that's digitalization and decarbonization. To move on to technologies that enable the emergence of new systems like smart ships, smart ports, port cities, smart port cities, connected maritime ecosystem. I'll talk a little bit about the autonomous shipping and the IMO maritime autonomous surface ship regulations. I'll touch upon the maritime surveillance as a complementary sector in this vein. Finally, a few words about strategies and our role in progressing the digital transformation in maritime. So, as is often quoted, maritime and shipping is probably the most important business on the planet, and that's because 90% of the global trade is transported via sea. So, and at the same time, the industry is heavily regulated under the governance of the IMO, the International Maritime Organization, and which sets the regulatory framework for the operations of the industry. So if we look at the current trends that are underpinning this industry, the UNCTAD, the UN Conference on Trade and Development, in their latest review of maritime transport, they call for just an equitable transition to a decarbonized shipping industry. So emphasizing the need for the use of cleaner fuels, but also the use of digitalization as a means of progressing in terms of the decarbonization. So let's see what happens with the industry. So the industry that's responsible for transporting 90% of the global trade is also contributing 3% of the GHG, the global greenhouse emissions. So currently, the industry strives to keep pace with the ambitious goals of the IMO in terms of decarbonization, and they're experimenting with some new shapes for new designs for the ship or biomimetic means of transportation, propulsion systems, and of course the use of alternative fuels from anything from methanol to ammonia and hydrogen. At the same time, the industry is undergoing a digitalization, and that's what has been happening the last probably 10 years or so. Here is a report by BCG, the Boston Consulting Group, which tells carriers, the shipping carriers, to digitize or die, and that happened back in February of 2018. Otherwise, they are facing the risk of being sidelined by others from the logistics sector. So what the digitalization offers is better relations with end customers, reduce their cost, and also generate new revenue streams. So which are the technologies that will help the industry to make the leap to the digitalized era? Of course, all the regular buzzwords, anything from digital platforms, advanced analytics, IoT, artificial intelligence, autonomous vessels and robotics, blockchain, and cybersecurity. So these are the technologies. So let's see where we stand. A report by DNV, the Classification Society, again back in 2018, calls for creating, highlights the way for creating value from data in shipping, big data and big data analytics. So, but that's, of course, providing that we have the connectivity between the sea and the SIP and the shore for transmitting the data effectively and efficiently so that we create a competitive advantage. At the same time, IoT, from voice applications to massive machine-to-machine devices, enabling communication, value-adding service over satellite connectivity, IoT can help the maritime industry to improve its operations. And while earlier voice and data transitions were made over costly VSAT links, nowadays the emergence of LEO satellites in operating in the microwave Ka band has enabled high data rates and security at affordable prices, and that's an enabler for maritime connectivity. So now that we have the data created on board, we need a platform, a digital platform to amass, to collect all this data and efficiently transmit it back to the office. And that's, there are now several digital platforms deployed, like this by MTIS, the I platform. It's a digital SIP platform, which has been deployed on commercial ships, but also on fishing fleets, big cruise liners, and lately the Navy, the Greek Navy. So this platform allows you to monitor, let's say, fuel consumption in real time from the sea, from the land, and oversee the fleet or vessel operations, but also it can guide a drone, an aerial drone, to deliver a 3D printed gear, let's say, to the ship while sailing offshore. So all this through this digital ship platform that exists currently on ships. On the port side, similar platforms take care of traffic management, like this platform by Cisco that has been deployed at the Hamburg port, supporting traffic management, data exchange, and video and telco communications all over the same platform. And this has allowed the Hamburg port to double its capacity without doubling the space that's been using. So it's very important development. At the same time, Port of Rotterdam was working with IBM to develop an IoT infrastructure that would allow it to become the smart port of the future. We'll see what that means later on. So while all this is happening, though, the full benefits of this digital transformation will only be fulfilled when we have all these elements, the smart port, the smart ship, the smart port, are linked fluidly with the rest of the logistic supply chain on the land. So interconnected, the end-to-end connected maritime ecosystem is a prerequisite for the proper operation of this digitalized maritime system. And now that we are talking about all this digitalization and the interconnection of several systems, the point that the issue that's been raised is interoperability. So the classification societies now are working on setting the rules of how you treat data on board the ship, how you transmit data over satellite relays, and how you collect data and you process data on the shore side through remote service, covering the full ship-to-shore communication framework. So that's where we stand nowadays, and with all these tools that we have developed, digital tools, that not only improves the operation of the shipping industry per se, but also some other auxiliary subsectors of the maritime system, like the shipyards and the shipbuilding. So with the use of these digital tools and digital twins, the shipbuilding has changed the way they design tools, they design ships, they build ships smart, using the concepts of smart design, building purpose-fit designs that take advantage of the new tools to simulate the operation of the ship before they build it. in realistic conditions. And that brings us now to the new era of shipping, with the era of the autonomous ships. Again, about the same time, 2017, 2018, it was heralded by Rolls-Royce that the era of the autonomous ships, so forget autonomous cars, autonomous ships are almost here. The key word is almost. They're not here yet, but we are almost here. So we will see. So at the same time, EU was had launched a long EU research program to develop the supporting infrastructure, this infrastructure supporting the deployment of autonomous ships that controls the information transmission from onboard, ashore, and offshore to enable the vessels to act autonomously. So where do we stand with autonomous ships today? As I said, the IMO has created a working group, the Maritime Autonomous Surface Ship, MAS, a group, which MAS refers to a ship which to a varying degree can operate independent of human interaction, be that crewed or crewless ships, remotely or fully autonomously operating. Several countries all over the world, from the Scandinavia to Far East, are experimenting now with the design of autonomous ships, as well as the supporting infrastructure on land that will take over the teleoperation of the autonomous ships, at least in the first stage of its deployment. And the porting infrastructure is preparing itself to serve the new era, the new ships, the autonomous ships. And that, as you see, the Rotterdam believes that that's going to happen by 2030. So the port of Rotterdam is preparing itself so that they are ready to serve the call of an autonomous ship by 2030. So where we stand with autonomous ships? In the defense domain, we have in the US two small mid-size ships, USVs, unmanned surface vessels, have been commissioned, and they serve as submarine hunters. That's the Seahawk and Sea Hunter. And some larger ships, like the Mariner and the Ranger, are currently commissioned into the US Navy, operating in the Pacific. So that's where we stand. In terms of the commercial, we talk about Yara Birkeland. It's the first zero emissions, fully electric, autonomous container box ship for short sea transportation. Has been deployed. It's ready to sail. The problem is the regulatory framework is not still able to support the operation of autonomous ships, and that's what we've been working on. Japan has launched a mega project, the Meguri 2040, with a participation of more than 50 companies that aim at developing all the technology that to reach a full-scale commercialization of fully autonomous ship technology by 2025. And one of the largest and most active projects is being launched by South Korea with the CAS, the Korea Autonomous Surface Ship, which is currently developing the technology to support the operation of an autonomous surface ship, from intelligent navigation to engine automation and performance demonstration and telecontrol from the land side. So here we are in terms of the autonomous shipping. That's the way they are moving into the near future on the side of the smart ships. Let's see what's happening on the smart ports. So on the smart ports, this is a seminal group of EU projects, the Docks the Future Network of Excellence, comprising of several projects like MOSIS or Aegis, that aim at developing the infrastructure for the port of the future. And And one manifestation of that is the Port of Rotterdam, which is currently working on developing a full-scale digital twin of the entire port, which will facilitate its digital transformation and decarbonization of the entire ship. Other activities, other initiatives worldwide. South Korea, again, is a pioneer in the field, covering in a holistic mode both smart port, smart sea, and the regulatory framework for standardization and regulatory framework for supporting this autonomous automation. And Singapore is also working on its version of smart port of the future. So, something that I'd like to bring to your attention is that these mega port cities like Singapore or Shanghai or Rotterdam or even Piraeus not only look at developing the port of the future, the smart port of the future, but also they are paying attention to the integration, to the bordering of the port to the neighboring metropolitan area. And that's an area that we need to pay attention to. So they're transition from smart port perspective to a smart city perspective. And just in passing to bring to your attention again another subsector of the maritime industry, and that's the maritime surveillance, which shares some challenges, the same challenges with deep sea transportation, because of due to the variety and structural variability of data from ocean observing devices. So the common infrastructure for sharing, common information sharing environment, CISE, is a framework developed, published by EU that governs the exchange of information, data and information in this massive global infrastructure for surveillance. A project that recent projects are visible, focusing on improved situation awareness in the border security domain. And here it shows you the multitude of wireless systems that take part in a search and rescue information or border surveillance situation with all this. So we hope that 5G will replace many of these systems with under a single umbrella. I want to mention that we are currently with one of our member companies, Intracom Defense. We're working on a 6G project on developing a wireless sub-terahertz transceiver. That one of the case application of this transceiver is in spectrum sensing for maritime surveillance. And that's a couple of words. So in closing, a couple of words of who we are, what we represent. We are a private non-for-profit organization, having established an ICT cluster in Piraeus, comprising of more than 35 organizations and firms, aiming at helping the Greek industry make the transition to the digital era, covering all the links of knowledge values, knowledge economy value chains, from creation of knowledge, communication, and capitalization. We have forged MOU, we have signed MOU with a number of clusters all over the world, for maritime surveillance, blue energy, blue biotech, defense and dual use, but also blue technologies, blue tech, and we are members of the European Network of Maritime Clusters, representing Greece in this blue economy. So with that, brings me to the conclusion. So today we talked about the twin transformation of the industry, digitalization and decarbonization. These are intertwined. The digital transformation can help in the faster decarbonization of the industry. Autonomous vessels and robotics will play a key role in the digital maritime of the future, but maritime connectivity is an enabler, and we need to focus on that to improve the connectivity of the autonomous ship. The adaptation of legislative and regulatory framework is the one thing that It's a hurdle right now. We need to improve that in order to accommodate the use of autonomous ships, and 5G technology is expected to play a key role in this new future. Thank you very much, and I appreciate it.
Excellent. Well, this is definitely a fascinating topic. I think that this is one of the most important opportunities for Greece right now. I worked on maritime in the past, so in the roundtables later about the industry and maritime, probably we should, look at this more seriously and the opportunities that it provides. Next up, we go to show you that some real hot European projects are happening with big Greek contributions. From Nova ICT, we have Ioannis Markopoulos, and he's going to talk to us about the very real projects that they're doing here in Greece in collaboration with our European Union countries. Welcome, Ioannis.
So, thank you very much for the invitation. Good afternoon. We will have the angle of the usage of the testbeds towards the digitization process. So, Nova ICT is a newly established company, but with significant experience that stems from previous endeavors, Nova and other endeavors. We focus on the public sector, both Greek and EU public sector. We have undertaken quite a few successful digitization process through the RRF and other means, and we support the core government, but also municipalities as well. We have a significant endeavor with R&D projects. We believe that R&D projects is the corridor towards defining innovative solutions and promote them in the market and address the emerging digitization market needs. And of course, we are expanding our activities towards the commercial projects of EU, especially in the area of software development, software services. So this is the areas that we focus on the R&D sector. So with a baseline of improving the networks and looking the next day of 5G, 5G Evolved, 5G Advanced and towards 6G networks, we try to supplement it with virtualization services, use cases such as smart cities, automated vehicles, media and entertainment, PPDR. But also we would like to see the emerging opportunities towards improving the security of both networks and applications, and last but not least, the users as well. So, to jump into the usage of the testbed, we believe a lot in the existence of the testbeds. We think that testbeds, as long as they operate correctly, can be a catalyst towards the digitization process. It provides many assets in the economy. They can be used. It is a safe sandbox to test new applications. It's a safe place, it's a relaxed place of the industries without losing any reputation, can test innovative application, innovative infrastructure, and see how they can use them in their normal business. Testbeds can be a means of educating both professionals and academia, but also can improve SMEs who they can promote their services, they can test their services, they can demonstrate their services to industry and public sector. Public sector can again be benefited by the testbeds because they can show their vision and also they can test applications and emulate the impact that these applications and policies can have in the society. Last but not least, we believe that the existence of testbeds can be a focal point to attract investments. Foreign investors, foreign technology vendors can collaborate seamlessly with local initiatives in order to promote holistic services and bring the country in the next level of the future digitization. This is the ecosystem of the testbeds that we envisage. We believe that there can be multiple testbeds. Of course, each testbed is focused on a specific domain or subdomains. One testbed cannot address all the domains, so there should be means of collaboration between testbeds, exchanging knowledge, exchanging infrastructure, exchanging applications, and be able to address larger problems. In this ecosystem, around the testbeds, there should be additional applications and data that should flow and should be accessed by the application owners, such as data spaces in a systematic, standardized way. Data spaces can have both open data and commercially available data that can be used in order to train models, to produce digital twins and other applications that can promote the usage of Industry 4 type of applications. Regulation and evaluation of the testbed, we believe it's a must. Also privacy preserving. If we want to have a sustainable ecosystem, we should find means that all the testbeds are evaluated for their quality of performance, for their effectiveness in the market, and that will certify that their impact will be great and not just receive some funds and then vanish in the near future. Some indicative testbed initiatives around Europe, of course, there are not only these, there are many, many more. One of the most prominent one is the Oulu 6G flagship. It is operational since quite a few years, and it will last at least till 2030. With this testbed, we started with Finnish investment and supplemented by additional EU investments. We have a focal point that promotes new infrastructure towards 5G, new application. It's a collaboration sandbox between academia and industry, and it's also available to all operators in the area. And the important issue is this testbed is not only available or targets Finnish companies, they're accepting international collaboration in this, so they import knowledge that can be used in their own development. We have a very good Greek example, and it's the organization actually of this workshop. It's PNET, or it's one of the prominent initiatives towards establishing pre-commercial testbed for 5G services. It's an open concept that can attract new applications and new infrastructures. We believe that its vision, it's quite important for the digitization of the country, and also promoting new endeavors such as 5G private networks, which is in its infancy now in Greece, probably in the whole Europe as well. So as Nova and Nova ICT, we decided to invest, I would say, heavily in this testbed, along with our vendor Ericsson, in order to establish an open end-to-end testbed. We will have soon now the core in Athens, the edge and run initially in Patras, but we aim at expanding this to other areas in Greece, always aligning with the expansion of PNET. One of the testbed projects, and my colleague and friend Kostas mentioned this before, it's the FIDAL project. The FIDAL project is a Stream D project operated under the SNS framework. And by the way, I believe that SNS is one of the model frameworks in EU. It's a good paradigm that can be followed not only by other JUs in EU, but I think the way SNS operates and promotes technology and brings together industry, academia, and SMEs, but also society as well. It's a paradigm that can be replicated by local authorities promoting local research frameworks as well. So, FIDAL is a project that started January this year. It will last 3 years, and it consists of a consortium of 20 very good companies with expertise in multiple sectors, in applications, in experimentation frameworks, in AI, and last but not least, infrastructures. We intend on promoting 3 testbeds around Europe, one in Greece, Patras mainly, one in Malaga, and one in Norway. The focus of the use cases that we would like to support with these testbeds initially is in the area of media and PPDR, but we are open to other areas as well. And to show that we have a mature experimentation framework with a set of 10 network applications that can be used by various use cases, we started our open calls. This is the first round of our open calls, started in September and will last till December. So we urge you to check this site, and please, if you feel that you can fulfill the mandates, please submit your proposals either as a single applicant or a small consortia, 2-3 partners together comprising of SMEs, academia, organizations. We accept anyone that can have a substantial use case. What we mean by use case is not only the application, but would like you to bring users as well in order to have an end-to-end evaluation of the large-scale trial. We are there to assist you both in the bidding process, but also in the onboarding process of your applications and use cases, and of course, infrastructures. In the first call, we will intend to give an amount of 4 million to the projects that will be contracted overall. In the second round next year, 25, we will give another 2 million, overall 6 million. So it's a big amount of money that can be utilized in order to promote such beyond 5G services and use cases. And some key takeout points with respect to the testbeds is that testbeds already exist. But on the other hand, industry has not massively used the service of the testbeds, have not already capitalized on the existence of the testbeds in order to become an industry for, to promote an industry for roadmap. And I believe we should all work in this direction, promote the existence of the testbeds, the services, and try to attract in a sustainable way the industries in the SMEs. We believe that EU, one of the initiatives is SNS, of course, but there are others as well, give a good paradigm, but also a good amount of funding for the establishment of testbeds. These testbeds should be supplemented also by local frameworks. Some already exist, but we need more. We need to have the testbeds that already exist, should they work properly, sustainable, and able to address the market. We also need frameworks for the evaluation of the testbeds with SLAs that they can give to their clients. And also the quality of the services can be published for the users to know where to target their tests. We believe that the existence of testbeds will heavily promote the digitization process. They foster innovation, and at the end of the day, they will increase collaboration between all involved parties, from community to academia to SMEs, industries, public sector, attract new investments from abroad, and promote our ecosystem of technological development both inside the country and abroad. So thank you very much for your attention, and looking forward to the roundtable.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Yanni. Testbeds are good, and part of the reason we're here is to essentially think of what more testbeds do we need. Going more now a little bit into more applications in automation, digitalization of ports. Please welcome Mr. Konstantinos Katsaros.
Thank you very much. So, will this appear on its own? Okay. So, thank you very much for the invitation and the opportunity to share some experience and thoughts about smart ports. Obviously, there has been quite some good presentations regarding touching upon smart ports. So, I think we're going to have a good roundtable in the afternoon regarding this topic. First of all, a few words about us, ICCS. We are actually the research institute affiliated with the National Technical University with a particular focus on communication and computing. We are quite large, more than 800 researchers, and quite a large track record with respect to R&D projects and innovation. Particularly myself, I represent iSense, which is the largest subgroup within ICCS with 150 people and heavy activity and involvement in the 5G and now 6G research activities in Europe. And we also represent ICCS in both digiGOV and PNet. So smart ports, I didn't know about exactly the structure of this session and the extent to which smart ports would be discussed. There are plenty of definitions about smart ports. The common denominator is technology. So the key issue is how do we build on technology to support the operations of a smart, and that makes it a smart port. But still, this is not a clear definition. So we go by example, and I think there were already some references to key initiatives. Port of Oulu, Rotterdam, Port of Hamburg. This is not an exhaustive list. This is just to show that this is happening already. This is taking place and it is evolving. And in order to reach a better understanding of smart ports, we need to get an understanding of what are the applications. This is only just a subset of applications. Already there were references to many of them. They have a quite large span, let's say, in terms of operational scope. Port operations, both offshore and onshore, remote control of cranes or trucks, safety procedures regarding worker safety, but also goods safety, and I will give you an example later on based on our experience. End-to-end logistics, leaving the port, following the ship from coming to the port till the product reaches the warehouse. Connectivity services, because we can have also smart yachting applications, roaming when a foreign ship comes to a port and we need to support connectivity. And more relatively recently, digital twins as a holistic enabler of having a global view of what happens in the port and understanding where potential hazards or inefficiencies locate. But what are the enabling technologies to support this ecosystem of applications, let's say? So this is not going to be an exhaustive list. These are the main pillars, let's say, and we can think of additional technologies. First of all, it is connectivity. The main theme of this workshop is 5G, but 5G is not the only technology. 5G is a main pillar, but we also have synergies with satellite, not terrestrial networks, which are going to be part of 5G or 6G, if you will, but also other technologies, as already mentioned, like LoRa, even Wi-Fi, and other technologies. Cloud and edge computing, very important because of virtualization and sharing and auto-scaling. and flexibility of supporting multiple workloads at the same time through generic hardware, even in close proximity to where the service is needed, where edge is located. And as we proceed, we also have more focus on hardware enabling AI, like GPUs, TPUs, and such hardware. Then we have IoT technology, which is a large, has a large scope, but what I think it is more important here is to pay attention to sensing, actuation, and embedded computing, how we integrate the end device with communication, with sensing and actuation in order to enable all this seamless integration of technology and functionality within the operational environment. Of course, AI, ML, big role is played by video analytics as an easy way to understand what happens in the field of operations, but I'm also referring to MLOps, machine learning operations, because we easily think of AI, ML applications, artificial intelligence, but this is something that needs to evolve, and as operations evolve, so does machine learning needs to evolve, and we need to keep track of data coming out of a port in order to train our models to follow the operations and understand the operations of the port as they evolve in time. And of course, for some cases, blockchain and smart contracts simplify some operations without a centralized authority being necessary. Now, what is the role of 5G, which is the main focal area, let's say, here in today's workshop? So the first part, and again, this is not an exhaustive, this is just a view of things where we think we should pay attention, is the enhanced performance with high data rates, low latency and reliability, device density. These play an important role in different applications. For example, if we have surveillance with multiple cameras, we need high capacity and data rates. But if we need to operate remotely a crane, or a vessel, we need high latency and reliability. And if we need to monitor the products coming out in and out of the port, we need high device density. So the key aspect of 5G is that it differentiates performance, and it can do that based on the enhanced performance and the capabilities for network slicing and cloud nativeness. So we can at the same time have different performances, different profiles of the network operation. And a newly, I would say, emerging area of innovation that is coming from 5G towards to becoming 6G is the interaction between the service itself with the network itself, meaning that the service has the opportunity to instruct the network what it requires to be delivered, and the network can notify the vertical service about the conditions and what is about to happen, for example, with predictive quality of service. This is just a schematic representation of main aspects. Now, I'm about to share a little bit of experience we had in a very important and useful European project named 5G LogInOff. This was a large project. It is about to complete in mid-November with a final event. I'm only referring here to the Athens Living Lab that our group led in collaboration with Vodafone and PCT, Piraeus Container Terminal, where we had a series of applications run, developed, deployed, tested, evaluated, validated, throughout the lifetime of the project there, mostly focusing on 5G novel capabilities and AI enablement. I'm not going to refer to all of them because we have limited time. I'm just going to try to give you a glimpse of the complexity that all this technology ecosystem comes with. So we have the 5G system. No need to pay attention on the components. It is the 5G system. It is the core of the network, which has the radio part, which needs to be deployed in the field, the base stations, which has the cloud component, as I mentioned, the cloud computing enabler with the AI enabling hardware, which has to interoperate with the far edge, as we call it. We can call it extreme edge, we can call it IoT domain. It is the integration of the network interfaces with the devices themselves and the sensors. And we did all this on an end-to-end basis from left to right or right to left, and integrated that into trucks, the quayside crane, and port infrastructure in a series of use cases. Two examples of these use cases. One is collision warning, which took place as a validation in the context of trucks and vehicles equipped with this functionality. But imagine that this is a very important functionality if you have a large, bulky equipment to operate, a crane that the operator, if physically present there, does not have full visibility of the surroundings. So this is a safety application in order to avoid accidents. And the ability of 5G to support that is that you get just a camera from the vehicle, you do all transport it to the cloud, the AI runs there, and you get the result back where a notification to the vehicle, the crane operator, or the automotive component, the automated component of operating locally autonomously, a crane gets a notification. And we tested that in the area of the port. Another example is container seal detection, which corresponds to functionality related to port operations. The objective here is that we have containers coming in and out of a vessel, of a ship, and we need to know where a seal is broken or not, whether there is a damage, a compromise on the container itself. Typically, this is performed manually with human inspection, which is very, very dangerous. So what we did, we deployed smart equipment. I would generalize the description. We deployed the aforementioned equipment. We devised an AI video analytics, dual-stage video analytics service where we have the camera identifying the container, and having identified the container, it identifies a seal. And this goes to the platform that operates the port and says, okay, the container is sealed or it is not. So no human intervention, faster deployment, and time savings. And we measured that because there are lots of aspects there regarding how we collocate all these services. I'm not going to get into the details of that. So some lessons learned during this whole process, from requirement analysis to validation and evaluation, which we need to take into account when we discuss about testbeds and pilots and synergies. First of all, user requirements should be dealt with in the context of technology capabilities and vice versa. So it is not only what we need, it is also what we can do, but it is not like we have a hammer and we search for a nail. We need to understand each other, what new can take place, but what new is needed in practice. And this is a very important takeaway from this project that we need to build on in order to build synergies. The operational environment, often harsh and unpredictable conditions that may require some substantial feedback to the design of the overall end-to-end service, from application to the network itself. It may change the game completely. And complexity. We're talking about a multi-technology environment where the device, the network, the cloud, the application, and the corresponding APIs, application programming interfaces, all have a role to play, and they all affect each other. And we can discuss later on potential ways. So a few thoughts about testbeds and sandboxes, which is the main theme of the workshop. We need an ecosystem. This is not an exhaustive illustration of an ecosystem. We need the port authorities, we need digital solution providers, system integrators, mobile network operator, a telecom vendor. It can be far richer than this, but we need all actors, because all actors play an important role in establishment of common understanding. And in order to take the first steps, having established such a collaboration environment, we need to capture the real operational needs, to understand what are the novel technology capabilities, as I mentioned earlier, bridge the technology domains together, because having a camera and a video analytics service means that we do understand what the network is capable of carrying and delivering to a cloud location, for example, and to perform extensive experimentation. This is a way to address real market needs, provide end-to-end solutions from the device to the cloud and from the field up to the operational platform, and to ensure maturity and robustness of the service. And with this, I thank you very much for your attention, and I will be happy to discuss later on.
Okay, everybody, I think this is becoming an exercise of how much we can keep you away from lunch. We apologize for this. We are significantly over. We have, I think, 2 more presentations. They're both very important and very interesting. Please, I welcome Angeliki from Optil that will talk to us about this wonderful work that they're doing.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angeliki. Good afternoon. Thank you to the organizers. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Mr. Giannarakis, for this invitation, and to the Hellenic Cosmos for hosting this event. It has been a long day, I know, so I won't trouble you with too many specifics. But it's been great to listen to all the presentations about how we can drive innovation forward and leverage on 5G. So I'm going to try and make this interactive and as lightweight as possible, because we're all looking forward to lunch. So I'm wondering, I want to make a small poll. Who has been to this monument lately? Everyone has visited. Okay, that's nice. And do you know what makes this monument, Parthenon, the greatest monuments of all time? Why it's so special? Well, I'm going to give you some insights. Is it because of its size? No, it's not the biggest. Was it because it was the most expensive one to make? No. Was it because it's still the one preserved so good? No, still. It's because of the harmony. It's because of the harmony and what the ancient Greeks did through a delicate word called refinements, ekleptinsis in Greek, and basically has been the model for providing inspiration to future generations of architects and future marvels. So what they did, the foundations of the Parthenon are not exactly horizontal. It may look to the whole naked eye, nor are the columns. They're not purely straight vertical. And that gives it the harmony and the majesticity that the architects were looking forward, and still making it welcoming to the humans. So what is better than providing inspirations to new and older generations? I am in the sort of XR metaverse business in technology for the last year, and I like to think that I'm in the business of inspiring people. And these are very good times to live in, because now we live in a time where technology can provide us the means to help our imagination go a step further. So now we cannot just imagine how it would feel like for an ancient Greek to walk in and around the Parthenon, but actually I can actually do it while we are still holding a smartphone in our hand. So where imagination can help and inspire, this is where progress is made. So a little bit about today's talk, just to make it quickly, some insights. How we can better use technology and innovation to make better use of it, and at scale to provide this extra value in our society and help progress us as a whole, and how technology and 5G can actually help in doing that, and how we can all work together as an ecosystem to drive this forward. So it's lovely to be amongst you, all great professionals and experts in your field. So just to give you a sneak peek, the idea of where this is coming down to is creating a novel way to experience and explore cultural heritage and do this at scale. A little bit about us. So today I'm proudly representing Moptil. So we are a team of professionals from engineers, AI engineers, UI experts, developers, marketeers, and academic professors with strong credentials. And this exact team has made possible all the innovations and the projects I'm going to present to you in a little while. So this is just a glimpse of the core team and some market insights about where we are sort of working on. So the cultural heritage market in tourism is a big one. It's flourishing. It's reaching out more than 500 billion globally. And there is an increased interest in cultural heritage and niche marketing also for this, especially after the COVID era. And of course, digitalization has changed the way people interact and live, and exploring digital culture and making a visit to an archaeological site or a museum cannot be left behind. So Moptil started out 10 years ago in the VR market by creating VR applications for archaeological sites in Greece. We have since been working and expanding in Spain with commercial and research projects in Italy and Malta as well. We're working both in the private and public sectors, and we provide turnkey solutions. And we are proud to say that we have more than 600,000 users of our applications commercially live still. So our approach is holistic, so we don't want to do just technology for the sake of technology, but from concept to launch, and then also provide the means within our applications to give our customers, which would be museums or the public sector, the means to promote and disseminate these applications just to benefit society. So we're globally targeting, as a company, tourism and travel organizations, hotels, museums, archaeological sites. We're working with the state in many levels and cultural management institutions, as well as private companies and telecommunications operators with strategic interest in culture. I'm now going to share with you a small video of some of our projects. And I hope the sound works. So, and I'm not sure if you can hear me from here as well. Does it work? Okay. So I specifically wanted to spend a few minutes on talking about the first B2C use case for Greece in cultural heritage, and we're really proud to have been technical partners for Cosmote for this project. So basically, this is a free application available globally, bringing to life the most important monuments of the Acropolis. So I'm going to share with you now a few more details on how this application is, in case you haven't seen it. I mean, if you live in Greece, you probably have seen it.
Είμαι η Κλειό, δημιούργημα τεχνητής νοημοσύνης, και μαζί θα ανακαλύψουμε την εφαρμογή Cosmote Chronos. Η εφαρμογή λειτουργεί στα δίκτυα 4G, 5G και Wi-Fi, αξιοποιώντας τις πιο σύγχρονες τεχνολογίες Augmented Reality, Virtual Reality και Artificial Intelligence που αποδίδουν στο μέγιστο όταν είσαι συνδεδεμένος σε δίκτυο 5G. Έχει δύο τρόπους λειτουργίας. Μία λειτουργία για όταν βρίσκεσαι στον βράχο της Ακρόπολης και μία δεύτερη για όταν βρίσκεσαι κάπου αλλού. Ξεκινάμε επιλέγοντας «Είμαι στον βράχο της Ακρόπολης». Και από τα μνημεία που μπορείς να δεις, ας επιλέξουμε τον Παρθενώνα. Αν είσαι συνδεδεμένος με 4G ή Wi-Fi, θα έχεις τη δυνατότητα ατομικής ξενάγησης με ηχογραφημένο ιστορικό περιεχόμενο. Αν είσαι συνδεδεμένος με 5G, θα ζήσεις την εμπειρία ατομικής ξενάγησης με βοηθό εμένα και θα έχεις επιπλέον την επιλογή ομαδική ξενάγηση που είναι ιδανική για ομάδες έως 5 ατόμων.
I'm going to stop you right there because it's a really interesting video, and I welcome you to ask me how you can download this application before sharing a few insights about this project and some others. So this has been an application that has been developed in over 1 year and a half by a cross-functional, cross-industry, multi-skilled team from Cosmotea with support of the Ministry of Culture. And it has struck almost 200,000 downloads within the first 40 days of releasing it. Of course, it was heavily promoted, but we are now proud to say that we're almost at 300,000 downloads. And what is particularly striking are some of the key metrics that I'm happy to share with you, that we've had more than 1 in 3 visitors of the application returning into it within the first week. And we have some metrics showing that people have spent 90 minutes looking over and exploring the Temple of Parthenon. So that is something when you need to provide inspiration to a country. And also this is the first working case of a 5G AI-powered avatar that works better because of the low latency of the network. A last detail that has been really impressive for us, it was even though Cosmotea promoted this application within the borders of Greek, it really went viral. It really went all over the world, and that says something about the market and the interest that people have in these kinds of experiences. So it hasn't been an easy ride creating augmented reality, virtual reality applications for culture and also working with AI in the form of conversational avatars. So there were technical challenges, there were collaboration challenges, and there were also funding challenges. So, for example, how can we make an augmented reality, a 3D recreation of the Parthenon, basically becoming superimposed exactly where the actual monument is. So how can we make sure that the AI bot works properly and gives credible and scientifically curated answers so that we don't misguide the audience? When this development first started, 5G networks were only just landed in Greece, and operators and device manufacturers were not ready to provide the software for recognizing whether a device is on 5G or not. So we had to work on how to distinguish between 5G and 4G networks in order to provide the extra benefits of the 5G conversational avatar. How can we make devices not becoming super hot and exploding because of the high processing power that AR needs? Also, the content creator had to work with archaeologists and historians that speak another language rather than the language of technology, and how we can bring all these magic shows together to create successful AR and VR applications. But the most striking of it all has been how, by adopting an agile project management methodology, we managed to work a cross-functional team of engineers, UI designers, legal, the state, archaeologists, and many, many more people to create such applications. And it really takes a village to do it, and it really takes an agile and very cross-functional and flexible way of working. Also, on the client side, we see that it's very often that there is the will and the progressive thinking on the state and the museum side and on the archaeological sides as well. But the funding and the technical expertise for these parties is difficult. So they are focused on curating good content. They know their history. They can't be bothered with the technical details. So going back to my original question, how can we make adoption and help mass adoption of these kinds of applications to provide inspiration to the whole world, basically, when we're facing challenges that keep us from doing it quickly, because all these challenges really, at the end of the day, they cost time and money. That is why we have developed a platform. So we'd like to bridge the gap between increasing the value of the culture and touristic product and bringing the technology benefits at scale. How we're going to do that, besides having the standalone models of creating such applications, so the AR part, the VR part, and the AI part, we are working towards putting this together in an application and a user interface that will allow for deploying such applications in a matter of weeks, if not months. That is currently, and at 10 times lower the cost. Well, basically, the most important here is without the need for expert personnel to be able to roll this out quickly by simply dragging and drop 3D models into our platform. So our aim is to empower these organizations to deploy fast and quickly these kinds of applications, to enhance digital experience, to capture along the untapped market of the youth, and innovate through technology. So this platform will cover from concept to launch and work in a dynamic and collaborative way. So to go back to my original questions before this, I think one more talk before we go to lunch, how can we recap and what can we do to make technology work for us better at scale? So using scalable solutions and not standalone developments will definitely help. Using collaborative approaches to attract larger audiences, include marketing promotion tools so that we can disseminate these kinds of applications to bigger audience so that everybody can know about it and make it accessible to all. And of course, it's the theme of this day, the 5G, high bandwidth, low latency can definitely help. But in order to facilitate this progress, we have to create and massively adopt use cases so that the benefits of these networks can become evident to society. So we've heard a lot about B2B use cases, which is very valuable at the moment. But on the public opinion, 5G still has a long way to go. But we live in good times because we are here all together, working together, and through collaboration, agile practices, and the support of the state, of course, we can help facilitate innovation, make things faster, and basically hope that we can make every smartphone user in the world have access to the greatest monuments of all time. So thank you very much for your attention.
Fantastic. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much. We're also excited. I mean, hopefully you see that the great real work that's being done. One last talk, Mr. Konstantinos Hadjimikhail from Ericsson. He's going to join us now, and this is going to be the last one. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of Ericsson, I would like to thank the European Digital Innovation Hub for digital governance and the PNet Competence Center for arranging today's workshop. It's a pleasure to be here. We're delighted to be among representatives from the government, from the industry, and the academia. Ericsson has been well known for being a connectivity provider, primarily to the CSPs, for connecting the consumers, but also the businesses. One thing that is not so common and is not so well known is that Ericsson has been a key enabler also in private networks, both globally but also in Greece, and it has been a key enabler also in 5G corridors that were mentioned earlier before, and the 5G corridor primarily between Greece and Bulgaria. But today I would like to shed some light on how 5G could be an enabler, a key enabler for mission-critical communications. So it is no secret that in today's world we live in a very challenging time, in a time with increasing uncertainties. We can see that in the backyard of Europe, 2 war zones, 2 war conflicts ongoing currently. But also locally, we see a lot of emergencies risen up more and more often. And this comes in the terms of railway accidents happening earlier this year at Tempe, but also wildfires and floods that took place recently in Greece. So what is becoming evident? The paramount importance of mission-critical services. So as an industry and as an ecosystem, we need to make able to enable mission-critical communications that provide cross-agency collaboration between the different agencies that help us when it matters the most during the emergencies. And this is to be done through a robust, secure, and reliable networks. To begin with, I would like to start with some very basic questions with straightforward answers, but not so obvious solutions, apparently. So, an emergency, where can it happen? The obvious answer is that it can happen anywhere. It can happen indoors or outdoors, in the city centers or outside in the countryside and in the woods. It can happen in a public building or in a private property. It can happen in harbors, in railways, or in the borders and the ports. So what we would need for that purpose, we would need a network, we would need a solution that covers the entire country, and if possible, going cross-border. Moreover, when it comes to these emergencies, which agencies react first? I would say that it can be the first responders, it can be the ambulance services, it can be the police, the fire brigade, but you can also have the security from the borders, you can have the army, depending on how severe the situation is. So what would we need to have? Most of the times, actually, there are more than one that are coming together in order to support and secure that the lives are supported. So what we need to have is that we need to have cross-agency collaboration among these different users. And you can see there on the down right side that the first responders, we need to provide them not only with mission-critical voice in order to be able to communicate with each other. We need to be able to provide them with video services, with real-time data. We need to provide them with extended reality or augmented reality applications. But also we need to provide them with connectivity for drones or for unmanned aerial vehicles, which is becoming more and more important when it comes to reaching hard-to-reach places. The same applies also for the defense. We need to make sure that these people can coordinate among each other, but also with the different agencies through standardized communications, and they can communicate both in the field, but also with the back office, so that we secure the operations. Critical infrastructure of the country, though, is also the utilities and the railways, and we do see an increasing demand on having cost-efficient, innovative solutions that can be leveraged by the development of 3GPP standards from a variety of vendors. We need to be able to support broadband applications and secure that we have security and reliability, both for the passengers and the staff. So what do all these have in common? They have quite a lot of requirements for mission-critical functionalities, and the good news is that this has already been addressed by 3GPP already from 2015, already from release 12. So for 5G, it already encompasses, it is an integrated part of 5G standardization to offer this kind of services. This is why we do see a transition. We see a transition in many countries. It has been happening, and it will happen from narrowband services, which are primarily LMR, Tetra, P25, that used to offer some mission-critical voice, some simple messaging, and very low data rates in the range of a few kilobps. We do see the transition today going to 3GPP standardized services. This provides a lot of advantages, both in terms of performance, but also in terms of global investment to 3GPP standards. Of course, the technical features are there. We are able to take care of them, take advantage of them already from the commercial deployment. And when it comes to technical features, I mean about extended coverage. We need to have a network that extends to the whole country, not to mention that we need to have cross-border communication. We need to have reliability, security, and privacy protection. And this is an integral part of 3GPP standardized networks. But we also, I think that Professor Varoutas mentioned that previously, we need to have spectral efficiency. This is the most important asset of the country. So we need to have techniques that we have applied already to the commercial networks, like carrier aggregation, like beamforming, like massive MIMO, or like dynamic spectrum sharing, that allow us to make the most out of the spectrum we have, that we can provide the connectivity and the services that we are able to provide to these people that are saving our lives. So the technical features are there, and the services can be applied, and you can see there some few examples. You can start from some mission-critical push-to-talk over LTE and mission-critical voice, and actually the LTE has been like a playground to develop the ecosystem, but then going forward, going to 5G NSA, and towards the 5G SA architectures, we see more and more applications and use cases coming into the picture. And this comes from ultra-reliable, low-latency applications, massive machine-type communications, unmanned aerial vehicles and drones, augmented reality, and a lot of use cases that have already been touched upon previously. Now, to the preview, to the actual world, to how this can be implemented in the real market. We have been witnessing and we have been partners, and we are proud at Ericsson to be able to support different commercial deployments. So as you can see here, I don't want to go into the technicalities, but the actual thing is that there is a variety of deployment options. And we are here to support depending on which are the local market conditions in terms both of the spectrum availability for mission-critical communications, but also on the availability of the mission-critical providers and the willingness to invest on the radio access network. As you can see, when there is a spectrum that has been allocated to the mission-critical network, you can have from a dedicated network end-to-end, from the applications, the core to the RAN, to hybrid models, where the mission-critical network, in the second case, the mission-critical provider can have an entire network and complement with a RAN from a commercial, from one CSPs or multiple CSPs. Going to the third one, where you can actually share your commercial and your mission-critical RAN so that everybody is using that when it makes most sense, and you can prioritize the mission-critical users. And going to the cases where the commercial spectrum is only available and you don't have any spectrum available for the public safety. In that case, you can actually utilize the already existing infrastructure by the operators, one or more of them. And you can have a dedicated core and dedicated applications utilizing the already infrastructure that is in the country. And the last model that has been developed, for example, it has been deployed, for example, in the UK, is the secure MVNO, where actually you are getting advantage of the already existing infrastructure of an MNO, of a service provider, but you are roaming. So as a mission-critical communication provider, you are a roamer through some extensive routing capabilities on the core between the mission-critical and the commercial. This is the reason we see quite a lot of traction between the public safety and the CSPs. We do believe that by leveraging the existing infrastructure, there is a lot to gain. Of course, the dedicated network can be there, but we do see that operators across the globe are collaborating more and more closely. And this ranges from trials to partnerships, going to contractual agreements. I would like to mention here a few examples from the real world. Of course, Mr. Karonis mentioned a few more before as well. I would like just to mention a few that are, some of them are well known, some of them are not so well known. The first one is on the left from FirstNet. This, most of us have already heard it. This was developed by FirstNet together with AT&T in the US, and they actually have a dedicated spectrum for public safety authorities, but at the same time, they have prioritization over the AT&T commercial bands. So this way, they make sure that when an emergency arises, then the public safety users have prioritization over the entire country. This is where they have dedicated core, but then they have shared network between the two, the mission-critical operator and the commercial operator. On the right-hand side, you can see two cases actually closer to our hearts, closer to our neighborhood. And this is Erillis Verkot, an impossible to pronounce name in Finland. So this is a state-owned company that together with the CSP, the local CSP in Finland, Elisa, and the partnership with the entire ecosystem, they developed a new public safety standard, which is called Virve2. And what was offered there was that they utilized entirely the RAN network from Elisa, and they had a dedicated dual mode core for the mission critical part. The last one is coming from a smaller country. This is coming from Faroe Islands. This is one of the most recent ones, I would say, transitioning from narrowband to broadband 3GPP standardized services. Actually, Faroe Islands is quite an interesting case because it resembles quite a lot Greece when it comes to the islands and the sea and how they would like to provide security both in the land but also in the sea. And what they did is that the police department transitioned from narrowband to 3GPP-enabled services for mission-critical push-to-talk applications. And they did that through the network that they had locally already established by Faroe Telecom. So they gave actually a very creative name. Kima means bell in the local language, and the same way that in the old days we used to ring the bell and then everybody would gather in the middle of the square, The same way now they want the mission-critical communication to make sure that communication is there and the people can be safe when it's needed the most. Now, some conclusions. We do believe strongly that there is a lot of value to the society and to the government transitioning from narrowband to broadband networks. This will make sure that we have nationwide coverage, that we have secure, reliable, and high-performance networks, and that we will be able to offer voice, data, and high-quality video to who it matters the most, to the people that are actually saving our lives. These are systems that are future-proof. We see that the narrowband, the old systems in terms of GSMR, Tetra, DMR, they are reaching their end of useful life. So we need to be able that, to make sure that we go to networks that are actually leverage the global investment, like multi-billion investment that is done, that is made on the 3GPP standardized networks. This will make sure that there is interoperability among the different agencies and that the new devices and the new user equipment will be able to support the new applications and services. We do believe also that at this time of, we are quite happy and fortunate that we have a technology like 5G that never before has a mass market communications technology been so flexible. And it has not only to do with being able to provide edge computing or providing low latency. It has also a lot to do with what we saw before about spectrum availability or about deployment options when it comes to the core or the RAN network. So we do believe that there is a strong momentum now to converge the different narrowband applications and use cases that we saw in the past, like Tetra, like GSMR for railways, like DMR, and going over a single infrastructure, over a single physical network. We at Ericsson, we are very happy and we are proud with our global presence and with our unique portfolio to be able to bring together the governments, the industries, and the operators so that we realize this 5G or for mission-critical communications vision. Thank you very much.
One question. Ericsson also supports the Open RAN initiative, eh?
Correct.
Yes.
This is correct, absolutely. So Ericsson has been one of the drivers in the Open RAN initiative, and we are actually one of the leading authors when it comes to the new work groups. We do believe that the open infrastructure will be part of the future. This is already coming now into reality, and Ericsson has a clear strategy towards the Open RAN. So this has been already officially communicated as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bravo. Thank you. Dear all, thank you very much for attending this morning session. It's time for lunch now. I would like to thank you. Where's the dinner? Yeah. After dinner, we will have the roundtable session, which is very important for getting concrete results from this workshop and having suggestions for policies for practical projects and synergies between us. And we expect from the part of Digital Innovation Hub and PNET to have also challenges that could be the basis for another call for intelligent and innovative solutions for the public sector. Thank you very much. And thank you, Marius, and thank you all.